first two rounds of the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series saw a shock at Interlagos. It saw what we thought would be a changing in the guard, but then 2 weeks ago at Phillip Island, it was back to typical Team Redline domination. We enter the third round of the championship with about as many questions as we had in the first round of the championship. Is this going to be Redline once again walking away with the championship? Can Koana Sim Sports bounce back? What about the likes of INX? Can they prove that round number one wasn't a fluke? And what about all the other teams as well? The likes of Radicals Online, the likes of Iberica Racing, Apex Racing, Movano, Vortex, all of them. We've got qualifying starting in about 4 minutes time here on Racespot TV. Will Vincent, Johnny Simone, Rachel Whiteford. Johnny, very, very quickly, before we head ourselves to qualifying, one question. Will this race bring us answers?
Well, answers to many questions, Will. Which car can handle the most, or the best over the bumps as well? Which driver keeps that motivation going after the first two rounds? And I think there's a lot of questions to answer, but at the same time, do we all, we think we know the answers to the question, but do we know the questions being asked?
Well, Rachel, got about 30 seconds. In a moment, we're going to show you what happened. In fact, we're not going to talk to Rachel Whiteford. She just stepped aside for a moment, but what we're going to do, we're going to show you highlights of the third round of the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series powered by iRacing.com, where the Sturgis brothers have now won 2 in a row. Round number 2, it was Jake. This time, well, we'll show you what happens next.
Round number 3 of the 2016 NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series underway. Green flag waves from Phoenix International Raceway. Your pole sitter BJ Sturgis hard down to turn number 1 for the first time. He'll set the pace coming off the quarter of the Lastro Motorsports Ford. It goes out in front to Taylor Hurst P2, Patrick Crabtree third, and a B4 for Casey Tucker. Single file inside the top 5.
PJ Sturgis is absolutely checked out. He has managed almost a second gap, Evan, in just 20 laps here.
PJ Sturgis ran his best lap at lap number 2. It was a 27-1. Right now, he's running 29.0. So you're looking at about a 2-second tire fall off over the course of a 40-lap run so far. So when those guys come in and pit, they're going to get back out on track for a couple laps. They'll be about 1.5, 2 seconds faster than the guys that stay out. Of course, when your leaders come down to the pit lane, the advantage will swing in their favor, but that's why the short pit is always a popular call for a couple of guys just shy of the top 10, maybe just shy of the top 15.
If you're pitting every 40 laps, it's going to take 3 stops to get lap 156. 41 car going to peel off and come down pit road, this time by Jake Sturgis from position number 6. If you can stretch it somehow to 60 laps, it's only 2 stops, so we might be seeing 2 different strategies here. I don't know if anybody's going to go to that 80-85 that they can on the fuel, but I'm sure somebody is going to at least try it.
I'll tell you what, the 57 of PJ Sturgis, if he wants to hit the marker, 156 laps, start to finish tonight, he'll have to go 52 laps on every single run. He's on lap number 51, and he continues to lead the way to Kenny Humpy and Casey Tucker.
Oh, there's a lot of unsettling times, 27, 36, and 10. They're battling for a spot, but they're battling around the cars that came down pit road. We're 3 wide down the front straightaway.
The 55 to the outside, the 3 to the bottom on the 27 bias. He doesn't stay there with it. That's a lap machine, the 22 topside. And around the outside of the racetrack goes Brian Blackford as Kenny Humpy up front. No pit stops yet, presumably 1 pit stop to go. He is 6 laps away from the halfway point, 6 laps away from what would be his number if he wants to make it on a 1-stop strategy.
The 58 of Kenny Humpy about to get back on the lead lap, trying to work his way around the 57 of Sturgis on that inside line through 3 and 4, and I don't think the NX number 57 going to make it overly easy for the Peak Antifreeze number 58 to go by. There goes Humpy. He's got the outside line, and the 58 will pick up the lead lap now. He is currently tail end of the lead lap in position number 18.
3 wide to 57. He's done with service tonight. It's go time. Inside on the 46, inside on the 55. He's got to go. Can Sturgis navigate that traffic and make up that time gap in under 50 laps? Chris Overland 42nd to second, as you mentioned. That's 39 cars he passed to gain 40 spots. And in Ray Alfala, 22nd to third, all under green flag conditions.
Casey Tucker on the outside. What a beautiful run for 1 and 2 for Kenny Humpy. Humpy is going to try to take this position down the back straightaway. Battle for position number 4, heating up in the final 5 laps of this race. Last lap coming up for PJ Sturgis, and looking for a huge NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series victory here. And he's looking clean and green. Battle heating up for second. Alfala going to try to take it from Overland, but Evan, he needs a little bit of a shot here.
Final time off of turn number 4, PJ Sturgis from pole to checker, winner for race number 3 on the 2016 season. Battle for P2 behind, going to go to Chris Overland in front of Ray Alfala on the podium. Somehow, Kenny Humpy ends up with the number 4 spot, and Casey Tucker round out your top 5 finishers.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this round number 3 of the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series. A week ago, we were here at Sebring for 12 hours of racing. Today, we come back and we do something just a little bit smaller, but just as exciting. We are here in Sebring. Qualifying is underway already. Left-hand side of your screen, you'll see the times as they come through. Wolfington, Johnny Simone, Rachel Whiteford. We're here with you all afternoon long. Big questions got to be answered today. Can Coanda bounce back? Well, in the early stages of qualifying, they look as though they might do so. But let's have a look on board with one of those Coanda drivers, Mitchell de Jong. He is on a lap right now as he works himself down into the hairpin. You can see just how bumpy this track is. It is bumpy, yet smooth in certain places. It's fast, yet slow. This is a track of great comparisons. And this is an event that really determines who is going to be World Championship. Quite often, do well here, you put yourself in the running. Do badly, and well, you're always fighting back. Martin Cronke with the early going. We've got ourselves Oli Picala, Alexei Yusiakoda, second and third. Jeremy Bootley runs himself right now in that 4th place. But a lot of qualifying time still to come. We go back on board with that driver of Mitchell de Jong. Out of the Mon corner he will come. Johnny, critical 30 seconds now for de Jong as he works himself towards the stripe.
Yep, towards Sunset Bend. He's currently on that Allman Straight, the final corner of the racetrack, with 8 minutes and 50 seconds remaining. You can see the car bouncing over these bumps, one of the critical parts of this racetrack. There are a lot of bumps around Sebring. He will cross the line and he will set a 1 minute 32.267. And he's on the front row alongside his teammate, Martin Cronke.
Yeah, we've got Mogar Philo up into 3rd place then. Philo, fantastic run for the time being for that Radical Steel Series Simulahe car. Well, we've got ourselves a couple of people on laps right now. Gregor Hutu is one of them. Rachel, Redline historically have been good here, but they have not dominated. Hutu, of course, is back in that driving seat. This will be a great test to see whether or not Phillip Island was a fluke.
Certainly will, but of course Sebring, it's got its own challenges. It's a difficult track, especially with these cars. First time we've been to a very bumpy road course since the start of the season in the new vehicle, so it'll be very telling. We think he's definitely going to be good, but we do know this is going to be tyre management city this race. The compound's changed. These guys are going to have to watch that tyre wear. It's an abrasive circuit. Hutu, we know he's good at that. If above all things, Gregor Hutu can manage his tyres and do it the best though.
Here he works himself past start-finish line. Gregor Hutu, number 66 machine, will move himself, well, nowhere. He's actually on an out lap, starting a flying lap now. So here he comes. We've got ourselves then 2 Commander guys out front. Of course, that's what happened in the first round of the championship. Here you can see Jake Sturgis. He is on track right now in the iRacing number 11 machine as he works himself now through that middle twisty section of the racetrack. The back end kicking out there for Jake Sturgis in the iRacing car. People on laps. Well, Holtzman's moved himself up into P6. Andre Borcher currently running himself in P number 9. There we can see Sturgis in the iRacing car. Here we can see Gregor Hutu. Let's go back on board of him then as we'll get ourselves a look at the sector times for... Actually, no, we won't get a look at the sector times for Hutu, but we'll be able to get a look at his speed. Up to 100 miles an hour through this section of the track. Then puts the power on. Now you're flat out all the way down to turn number 14. Let's listen in. Touching 192 miles an hour there, his top speed before he comes through into 14, then in towards turn number 15, Le Mans corner. Hutu back onto that fast back straight away, the Ullman straight away. No real changes happening at the top of your field. A couple of people waiting for a moment for the track to rubber in before they'll come and do their final flying lap. You can see that rear flap open for Gregor Hutu. He'll come past the start-finish stripe. What can Mr. 5-time champion do as he works himself past the line? The answer is going to be Gregor Hutu up into 3rd. Nowhere compared to those Commander guys. He is about 1/10 of a second back from pole position as it stands, Johnny.
Yeah, he's got a lot of work to do. Teammate Ollie Packler as well out on the racetrack. He did set a good banker time before, and that's a critical part to qualifying. You need to set your banker laps early. Now the track rubbers in a little bit more heat as well. With 5 minutes remaining, there's going to be a lot more drivers out on the racetrack and a lot more time to make up.
We still got to see what Jake Sturgis can do. We still got to see what Sebastian Joe, Paul Ilbrink, Marcus Hamilton, Alex Simpson, and Yoni Tamada will do. We know that there are a total of 38 drivers who have entered into this event. So there will be 3 drivers that will go home unloved and unlucky. We've got ourselves then. We're looking at Jake Sturgis, number 11 machine, as he works himself towards Sunset Bend. We've got ourselves Yoni Tamada up into P number 6. So Yoni, of course, won out the first round of the championship. Jake Sturgis has won a round in the NASCAR Peak and Free Series. Powered by iRacing.com. He can only manage P number 14 for the time being. Rachel, the difficult thing about here today is you've got to make sure you work with the track. We've got very small wins here today, but it seems to me these guys are struggling with grip.
Yeah, certainly, and it's a very difficult track, Will, of course. ERS management will be a thing for the race, but not much of a thing, because this track has so many braking zones for most of its laps, so you can really save up a lot of energy and use it on the long straights, of course, the Ullman straightaway being one of the big ones. But it's a big balancing act, of course. You've got to compromise a lot of exits and entries to corners to get speed through a sector of the track. That's going to be the really important part here, managing traffic and managing your track area. Especially the turn 2, 3, 4 segment, that's a real tricky one. Especially in these cars, those curbs really abrupt. If these cars get on them, big problems.
Ollie Packler running himself in P number 5 right now. He is on his final flying lap of the day. Gregor Hutu is back out on track, by the way, but we're sticking on board with Ollie Packler right now in that number 26 Team Redline car. Don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to get social with us, you can do so all race long. All you need to do is visit us, /Raceball.tv on Facebook, @Raceball.tv on Twitter. As now, here comes Packler into that long middle section of the racetrack, heading himself now down that run towards turn number 14. Packler needs to have himself a good showing here. Of course, Redline, they got themselves the top 4 positions at Phillip Island 2 weeks ago, but Packler knows that if he wants to have a shoe-in for the championship, he needs to start beating his teammate. And the way he can do so is being ahead on the grid compared to Gregor Hutu. It's Concave from De Jong, from Hutu, from Philo, from Packler. Your top 5 right now. Packler out of the final corner. Can he improve as he works himself towards the start-finish line? 0.2 of a second to gain. The answer is going to be he'll move up time. He won't move up any positions, though. And Johnny, well, that's a bit of a blow there for Ollie Packler.
Yeah, and that's it. He's reached his lap limit for qualifying, so he's going to start, definitely not in the top 5 if he stays at this rate. Other people are going to improve as the session progresses, Another big name is Alexei Usiakla. He's just moved up into P7 as I say that, so that's not a good strong lap from Alexei too. Team Redline struggling at this stage of qualifying.
Just saw there that we actually had Yoni Tamala having to abort his lap, so he will try and go back out one more time. We can just see Robin Friscott's there, Ironex Racing. P number 8, we have got back on track Martin Kroenke and Gregor Hutu. Here is Gregor Hutu. He's working himself down towards Sunset Bend. We'll get that speed graphic up for you there, slowing it down to about 100 miles an hour through the center of the corner. He's got himself 101 1,000ths of a second to gain as he comes past the start-finish line. Gregor Hutu will not go faster. It is gonna be the end of the road for qualifying for Gregor Hutu. Rachel, this one is Martin Kroenke's by all intents and purposes now.
Well, we know historically that Coanda have been very strong at Sebring, Will, so it's not a huge surprise. And, well, Hutu's going to have to work hard here. He's looking at provisionally 3rd in this qualifying session. We'll find out, of course, once the two have been combined, but looking like it could be a 3rd or 4th place start for Hutu today, so it's going to be a bit of traffic management for him. We've seen historically when he's in traffic, he has problems.
Paul Ilbrink, Radicals Online Machine, one of only 2 drivers now still to set themselves times. Paul Ilbrink will make it back to the start-finish line in time, so he will get this lap to count. He currently has nothing on the board. P number 18, in fact he does have a time, it's 1:10.3.4. He'll work himself past the start-finish line. Paul Ilbrink was P number 18. He will move himself up into P number 12. One driver hasn't set himself a time in this session. That will be Marcus Hamilton. And well, Johnny, now it's a very long waiting game to see whether anyone else is going to fail to qualify. Otherwise, that Friction Racing car, as Kroenke will go faster in the dying seconds of qualifying.
Yeah, just to put or nail on the head or whatever the quote is, he's done an incredible job. He's pretty much nailed the coffin on everyone else in qualifying, over a 10th ahead of his teammate. That's a huge gap in this session. And I mean, you look at qualifying dominance last year. Gregor Hutu had the most pole positions, but people forget that Kroenke was the most consistent qualifier. He didn't fluctuate as much as Gregor, so Kroenke's always going to be up there in that 1, 2, 3 range. And today he's capitalized on Redline's demise in pace. They were so dominant at Phillip Island, and I knew that Coanda were going to put in that hard work, and they have. Now it just matters about keeping it up for the race.
Yeah, there you can see then. We'll get your final qualification results from this session up on your screen. Your final official qualification times we'll get to you in a few moments' time. But what we know is Martin Kroenke is going to win out in qualifications here today. Just like we saw in round number 1 of the championship, it will be an all-Coanda front row of the grid. Let's run you through then some provisional times for this round number 3 of the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series. And you can see Martin Kroenke there with pole position. VRS Commanders Sim Sports blocking out the front row of the grid. 115 1,000ths of a second between himself and Mitchell de Jong. Gregor Hutu in 3rd. Then you got yourself Mogar Filo in 4th. Oli Pakala in 5th. Yoni Tamara in 6th. Alexei Usiakla, Robin Friscott, Remy Bootley, and Patrick Holtman. They round out your top 10. We'll cycle on back. Don't forget, we've got a total of 38 drivers attempting to qualify overall. These are only provisional. We'll give you your full rundown in just a couple of moments' time. We're going to take a break in just one moment, but we're going to break it to you first here on RaceBot TV, where, unfortunately, we have to announce that we have ourselves a retirement from the series. You noticed he wasn't in qualifications here today. You'll notice also that he wasn't at the 2nd round of the championship. Johnny, it's farewell, for the time being, to Hugo Louise from iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series competition.
Sad news, and not something we want to hear. You know, time, motivation comes in too. It's certainly, you know, sim racing isn't everyone's professional careers. It is something they do for a lot of fun, big hobby, and at this point in time, it's goodbye to to Hugo Louise. He's the only driver who's actually matched Hutu at least in one season. So now we have no more champions on the grid other than Gregor.
Indeed, so we have got a quote here from Hugo Louise. He says that these have been the best experiences he's ever had in sim racing. Having the opportunity to race against the best in the world and the pinnacle of sim racing has always been a privilege. Of course, he also thanks not only his team, VOS Commander Sim Sports, and all the drivers within that, but also looking back to Jack Bastard and, of course, Freddie Motorsport Times, the entire Brazilian community. Of course, Hugo does a huge amount of work for iRacing Brazil, and, of course, finally, the iRacing community as well. We've got breaking news then on the Racebot TV website, also on our Facebook page. That is facebook.com/Racebot TV. We will step aside for just one moment. We'll be back with more, a pole lap and a look at the race after these messages. You're watching Racebot TV, streaming live on iRacing Live. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, then to Racebot TV as well. We have ourselves a front row of the grid, Martin Kroenke and Mitchell de Jong. Let's have a look at the onboard lap then for Martin Kroenke as he gets himself another pole position in this series. Actually riding on board of him from earlier on in the lap. So we'll just play the tape, let you experience some of the moments from Martin Kroenke, show you how he builds up lap, how he runs a lap as well. And well, Johnny, it's interesting to note with Martin Kroenke that when he's out front, he can withstand an absolute ton of pressure. But a couple of weeks ago, 3 weeks ago at Interlagos, he didn't look that strong in race pace. We need to ask the question, have Coanda sorted this one out?
They half sorted it out at Phillip Island. There was a lot of ERS issues for the team. They couldn't conserve their power, and it seemed that at Phillip Island they did fix that, but there wasn't many points on the racetrack where you could regenerate that ERS system or get the power back. And the same here at Sebring. There are a couple of heavy braking zones here and there, so it'll be easier than Phillip Island, but it's no piece of cake for these cars. So I guess Coanda have put in the hard work. Now they can be strong in qualifying pace, but the question remains, no updates to ERS or DRS for this round. Everything still remains the same as it was to begin the season. So it remains, as I said, the question is, can Coanda sustain this in a race distance? And if not, we'll see Kroenke and de Jong probably fall into the clutches of Gregor Hutu behind. And I must point out, actually, a big shout out, Noga Filio with an impressive qualifying result. And he's not new to this, up the grid qualifying. He's a strong qualifier, and it's a strong driver to have on that Radicals Online team.
Yeah, indeed. We only caught the second half of that lap. We are going to try and get that one back for you as quickly as we can, but before we do so, we want to take you back about 18 hours because every so often we have a lot of fun here on Racebot TV. This was, well, as you know, we started Racebot TV Prime Time just this past week, and yesterday we had a race at Spa. The last lap of this event is something that demands your attention. We're going to play the tape for you right now. Roll
It's rewind. Graham Carroll, he's in the middle there. It's all getting a bit tight, a bit tense. Van Loosenhout loses that lead. White Gooden in the lead. But look at this. Graham Carroll side by side until they come now. It's side by side still as they head towards Malmedy. And Graham Carroll's going to force his way through. White Gooden has run wide by Graham Carroll. He's on the grass. He's still alongside. Into Rivage. He's not going to make it through there. Oh, fantastic work. He's trying to hold it around the outside of Rivage. But You can't really hold it there. Into the corner with No Name, and it's Graham Carroll who takes the lead. Fantastic work. They all run wide there through the corner with No Name, and down towards Puor. Here comes Mac Van Loosenord to look down the inside of Puor. You can't really make the move stick there for the time being. It's all going to be about the run out of Paul Freya, out to Stavlo and Paul Freya, and down towards Blanchimont into the bus stop chicane. But at the moment, Graham Carroll's in the perfect spot. White Gooden is in second. He's just trying everything he can to keep the Graham Carroll train keep as close as possible. There's 0.2 of a second between them as they head through Stavlo now in towards Paul Freya, and it's all about the good exit here to carry that speed all the way through Blanchimont, all the way through to the bus stop chicane. Matt Van Loosenord, he's got the double draft. He's got the best draft of them all. He's going to try and go and take a move towards Blanchimont now. Here we go. And it's White Gooden looking to the outside of Blanchimont. It's going to be run wide here. It's going to be too wide through Blanchimont. Fantastic work over the curb. Here comes Matt Van Loosenord as well. But White Gooden's got the inside line into the bus stop chicane now. Fantastic. They're getting millimetres together. So close. Drill tight down the chicane. Oh, Graham Carroll and ball. White make contact. Van Loosenord's the man to make the most of it, but White Gooden, he's still got the inside line towards La Source. Van Loosenord is in the lead for the time being, and into La Source, it's the battle for second place. White Gooden just going to get the exit. Oh, contact, and around goes Graham Carroll. It was almost inevitable there, and Matt Van Loosenord, he's going to come across the line to take the win on the first Friday night prime time here on RaceSpot TV, streaming on iRacing Live. Fantastic driving there, fantastic racing, and so unlucky there for Graham Carroll.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is what we call RaceSpot TV Prime Time. You guys, the iRacing fans, had the chance to vote on what you wanted us to broadcast every single Friday night, and I'll tell you one thing, on Friday nights you have done us proud. Formula Renault 2.0 took over 40% of the vote, and of course we're bringing that to you now every single Friday. And then of course on Wednesdays we've got the Kia Cup. They had a fantastic first race of the championship as well. Johnny and I toured that one, and we'll see of course every Wednesday night for that one. Thursday nights it's all about European Mazda MX-5s. Well, we have now got the pole lap from Martin Kroenke. We're going to ride on board with him. This is the pole lap for Kroenke. We don't need to talk to you about the ins and outs, exactly what gear or speed he was in. Just listen to the majesty and the masterpiece. And well, Rachel, that question will be now, can Kroenke translate this into Commander's first win of the season?
I think if anybody has a chance, it will be Martin Kroenke. We've seen speed from him before, but remember, last year's winner, Mitchell de Jong. Coanda have his place dialed in, they know what they're doing. This could be Kroenke's first win, but I think it will definitely be a Coanda win.
Well, here we are then. This is Kroenke working himself down into the hairpin. And well, Johnny, it is worth noting, this time last year, we were talking about Coanda. It wasn't the German driver, however. It was his teammate who's sitting alongside him with that front row of the grid.
Yeah, and if he gets a good start here, he could win another race for another year at the Sebring International Raceway. This was his first pole and first race win last year, so this time he's got a bit of a tough ask as well. He, from that front row, it's still possible to get there in the first corner, but Kroenke's too smart of a driver to let someone through that easily. So I guess for now, for Mitchell de Jong, who was, by the way, those cars last year were 4 seconds lap faster, but we get more entertainment with this McLaren, and iRacing taking some big step forward.
Well, here then is a look at Kroenke out of Le Mans. This is going to be one of your biggest passing spots on the racetrack, down towards Sunset Bend. It's a majestic corner. We always say there's 1,000 lines in. Only one of them is really fast. But look at the bumps there. It's going to be very difficult getting on pit road, going to be very difficult getting off of pit road. And, well, one of the key things about today is strategy. You heard me talking about 3 things you need to know at the top of this broadcast. One of those 3 things is going to be pit strategy, whether or not you 2-stop or you 3-stop here today. Traffic management will play a big part in that one, because it may well be that for these guys, they'll think, well, if I can get myself clean air, I can risk doing the 3-stopper. In some cases, they'll think, no, I have to play for the long game. With that in mind, let's get ourselves our RaceSpot TV picks for this, the 3rd round of the championship. Rachel Whiteford, I'm starting with you.
As I said earlier, I think it's going to be a Coanda win today. It's a toss-up. Martin Kroenke or Mitchell de Jong. Of course, last year's winner is a favourite, but I think Kroenke has the speed today to make this Comander's #1 win.
Johnny?
Well, we'll have to wait and see, and I agree that I think Kroenke will win this race, but it's not a certain, and obviously this is a guess and a prediction because we don't know what their race pace is like, and well, with this 2 and 3 stop strategy, I guess if anyone's smart enough to go through it, it is Martin Kroenke, and he'll be leading his teammate towards that 1-2 finish as well if De Jong can't really keep up to the leader's pace.
We've got ourselves our social media expert for this race as well. Mr. Nick Rowland, your turn.
For me, I'm going to go for Mitchell de Jong. I think he's looked strong throughout, and I think he could do it again today.
Well, so far then, what we've had is Commander. I'm going to go off the beaten path, and I'm going to say Mr. Strategy himself, Mr. Mid-Race, Gregor Hutu. But in order to do so, he needs to get himself running at the start of this race. I think Hutu's only way of winning this race is to contemplate doing the alternate strategy, either a one-stopper, which I don't think will work, or more realistically, a three-stop strategy. I think if Hutu can find himself past De Jong at the start, get himself past Kroenke at the start, he will basically walk away into the sunset and he'll do a Michael Schumacher 1998. He'll push himself right to the very end. He's done that here before at this racetrack. I think it was 2014. He did the alternate strategy and it worked fantastically for him. But if he ends up in traffic, he may well see Hutu falling down into P6 into P7. It's a risky call, but I think that Hutu will want to play the game. We've got ourselves, then, ladies and gentlemen, about 15 minutes until we head ourselves down to the green flag of this, the third round of the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series. And well, unlike at Australia, we had our qualifying go right to the very last moment. We had Martin Kroenke getting himself pole position in the dying second of qualifying here today. To give you a quick update before we head ourselves to our race coverage, two drivers didn't make it into the field here today. They are Oscar Mangan. He qualified about a tenth of a second outside of what was needed to get into this event. Frederick Evers as well didn't make it. Your confirmed top 10 for this event: Martin Kroenke, Mitchell de Jong, Coanda front row. Then you got yourself Gregor Hutu and Mo Garfilo. Fantastic qualifying by Mo Garfilo. Then you got yourself Oli Pakala and Yonu Tamara. That is a third row you want to watch. Alexei Yusiakola, David Corpse, Robin Friscops, and Jeremy Bootaloo round out your top 10. So here we are, ladies and gentlemen, round number 3 of the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series from Sebring International Raceway is right around the corner. We'll step aside, and when we come back, it's race time here on RaceSpot TV, streaming live also on iRacing Live.
I'm an engineer at iRacing. I put together vehicle models. Started earlier in the year with a partnership with Mazda and Long Road Racing Engineering, where they supplied us with access to the car data, access to their drivers to allow us to put together really high-level vehicle model, and it's turned out really well so far in the development stages.
These new MX-5s are incredible. Between the BF Goodrich tire and then all the suspension engineering that Long Road Racing and that Mazda has done, I've been very fortunate to be one of the lead development drivers for the new Global MX-5 Cup car. We've done a lot of R&D on not only suspension, but things that will not only improve the safety of the vehicle for racing, but also the longevity of it in a racing environment. A couple fun aspects have been for us, not only on the suspension development side, but the virtual world side with iRacing, actually mirroring some of the same, for instance, damper settings or brake pad changes that we've made for different compounds and such, and then we'll actually mirror that in iRacing. It's incredible to me how similar both when we're driving the car on the test day and then we're on the sim, that we're actually able to make changes in iRacing to the damper valving, and it correlates exactly to our findings on the racetrack.
It was quite interesting. It was sort of the first time in iRacing where we developed a car in the sim along with the manufacturer and a race team, Generally speaking, a team or a manufacturer will send us a data dump of information covering everything from tires to aero, if the car is set up that way, all the mechanical bits. The big difference is those cars are generally already in production or already racing, and this go around it was essentially from scratch. When Long Road Racing received their cars, we started getting our first bits of data, and as they got more data, we got more data, and we were able to go back and forth in the sim and compare with how the car performs on the racetrack.
The road to an iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series has always gone through one venue. That is Sebring International Raceway. It's one of the toughest and most demanding racetracks on the schedule. Sure, this track will play host to the WeatherTech Sports Car Series a little bit later on today, but first, it's going to play host to this, the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series, round number 3. We've got ourselves an all-Calanda front row on the grid, but the last time that one happened, we ended up having ourselves a situation where we had them literally fall to pieces in the event. Today, we've got to ask the question, have Calanda found the magic trick? Do they know what it takes to get themselves to victory lane in this series in 2016? We'll find out over the course of the next hour and a half here on RaceSpot TV, streaming live as always on iRacing Live, as we welcome you to race coverage. You see there, top left hand side of your screen, we have got ourselves a little over 4 minutes even before we head ourselves to the starting grid for this event. Green flag scheduled to fly in about 6 minutes time. Will Vincent, Rachel Whiteford, Johnny Simone, we got Nick Rowland also here, our social media expert. We'll run through your full starting grid in just 1 moment's time. But well, Johnny, we talked about this just before we came on air. One important thing to note, 2 important things to note. Number 1, Hugo Louise announcing his retirement from the series just a little over 20 minutes ago. Number 2, Yuta Saito is now a member of the Radicals Online team. You can see him right about here in that number 32 car, all sexy now in those Radicals Steel Series similarity colours.
And the saddest news that I heard today, I was on the brink of tears hearing Hugo Louise retiring. Balanced out by the fact that Yuta Saito has moved to Radicals with his links. You know, he's friends with Kazuki Mishima from Ronin Racing. Kazuki's moved to Radicals quite a while back. Now they bring Yuta Saito. Such exciting, 2 exciting Japanese drivers, both in the top 10 in the championship. I'm just a bit sad that Yuho Abe didn't get a license for this World Championship, because I'm pretty sure that Radicals would have snapped him up too, and he's a very quick driver. So for Yuta Saito now, as he crosses that final corner, we're going to see that today, Will, with these tyres that are going to grain incredibly much. The left side tyres in that final corner are going to generate a lot of heat, and then in that first corner, they're going to generate a lot more on the right-hand side. So tyres today are going to be critical, as we pointed out pre-race.
Yeah, and Rachel, it's interesting because we talk about team changes and team dynamics, of course. The NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series had its own in the last 24 hours as well. Of course, we know about iRacing, but they've just got themselves a little bit bigger.
They certainly have, Will. iRacing, of course, has, well, for a long time been partnering with Last Row Motorsports, but they are now officially one team, part of still the, I guess it's now the iNEX Flashback Motorsports Alliance. But iNEX is going a little bit bigger, more officially, and possibly the most diverse team in sim racing. Jake Sturgis, for example, the Blancpain Series Pro License, Formula 1 World Championship Grand Prix Series, and Peak Antifreeze driver. The team themselves have multiple drivers in multiple series, so incredibly talented as a group of individuals, and they're all going to be balancing off each other. So I'm looking forward to seeing exactly what they can do now, although to be fair, they've already been doing it. This is just official.
Indeed, so, and of course, they have won the last 2 rounds of the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series, powered by iRacing.com, as well as the first round of the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series. Let's run you through your starting grid for this, round number 3 of the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series, and you can see that is going to be Mr. Martin Cronke on pole position, Mitchell de Jong alongside him on that front row of the grid, with Gregor Hutu and Mo Garfilo in P number 3 and 4. We'll have a look back a little bit further in just one moment's time. You can see there is the remainder of your top 10. Ollie Pakala, Yoni Tamala, P5 and 6. Then it is Alexi Usiakola, David Corpse, Robin Friscops, and Jeremy Bootsley running out your top 10. We'll cycle on back. You will see 35 drivers in your field here today. 2 drivers didn't make it. They were Oscar Mangan and Frederick Evers. They unfortunately have to sit on the sidelines. Of course, we know that there's one Friction Racing team car as well that didn't make the field due to the fact they didn't put in a qualifying lap here today. So there are your 35. At the rear of your field, you got yourself Mr. Amico for the Radicals Online organization. But this race is long. This race is going to be arduous, and these guys know that they've got to get themselves through a very difficult first lap of this event, Johnny, because there's about 4 different points where carnage can happen.
Yeah, definitely so, and a lot of overtaking points as well. The track tightens in that first sector, then it widens as the track progresses. So those overtaking points around about turn 3 on the first corner. Here's that fast sweeping left, so don't see too many drivers near the start going to make their moves into turn 1. It's more going to be around the braking zone in turn 3, the hairpin at turn 7. Then you have a little bit of a look at turn 17, that final corner where we've seen some side-by-side battling over the years, Will. It's going to be an incredible race here today at Sebring, a circuit which it's been known for hosting touring car events, especially this few days ago for iRacing, some popular touring car events going on, but today it hosts these McLaren MP430s, and I guess we're going to get some good on-track action.
Well, checkered flag is out. There is practice done. Now these guys will head themselves down to the starting grid for this afternoon's event. If you want to get social with us, don't forget, /Racebot.tv on Facebook. On Twitter, you can do the same by following us at RacebotTV. Live timing and scoring will be available for this race very, very soon. The second the green flag drops, you can follow your favourite driver all race long by just visiting Racebot.tv /timing. And wait, there's more. If you're on our YouTube feed, you will notice there are 2 camera angles available for you today. You got this, the director's cut, as well as on board. It is on board city here today on Racebot TV. So you got yourself the opportunity to use the hashtag IRGP Sebring, and we will show your favourite drivers on our stream here today. That is available thanks to a double partnership here on Racebot TV here this afternoon. So these guys now heading themselves down to the starting grid for this afternoon's event. We are almost set to go racing. There is your field almost then ready to go, waiting for Diego Oliveira to get themselves down onto the starting grid. Now we've got all the drivers. Now 52 laps of racing are about to commence. The 3rd round of the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series will be officially underway as the smoke kicks up. The drivers will head themselves down in towards that first corner for the first time. The question will be, what will happen? Hutu looks as though he got himself an okay start. Your top 3 drivers are going to be line astern right now as they storm down in towards turn number 1, turn number 2. But these guys know that they've got to get moving. It was a bit of a slow start actually.
Oh, big crash!
We've got a crash in the rear of the field. Rachel, take it away.
We have one of the Radical cars off the track, Will. Believe that is the number 32 car, Yuta Saito, in his first race. And also, I believe that's one of the Iberica cars running into the back of someone else. That is, trying to find out what his number is. It's very difficult to see. One of the guys from the Ravano Thrustmaster X team, that is Danny Garcia Filial, is out.
Indeed so, but at the front of your field, it's Kroenke leading from De Jong, then Hutu, then Philo, then Pakala, then Yoni Tamala. Actually, we'll take that back. That's just a little bit wrong. It's De Jong leading this motor race right now. Mitchell De Jong had the better start to this motor race, and as a consequence, he has managed to move himself now ahead of teammate Martin Kroenke. Kroenke down to second, Hutu still running in third. What a fantastic start, though, for Yoni Tamala, and well, he's been able to move himself up 2 positions at the start of this event. He now runs in P number 4, Mogar Philo, with a bit of a sloppy start. He's down into P number 5, Johnny. As these cars then work themselves at the conclusion of Sunset Bend, turn number 16. We'll get that ticker running along the top of your screen. De Jong will lead lap number 1, 6 tenths of a second, the gap between himself and Martin Kroenke. Behind, we've got ourselves about a 1 second gap to Gregor Hutu. He's running himself in that 3rd position. Yoni Tamala, he is in 4th, and then Mogar Philo rounds out your top 5. We'll try and get ourselves a second look to see what happened with Yuta Saito in just a couple of moments' time. We've got Tomen Megalek then. He's had himself a crash down on lap number 2, turn number 1 in the TNT racing car as well. We've had a couple of incidents then in turn number 1 in this event so far, Johnny. We've had Yuta Saito out of the race, Danny Garcia Philo looks though he definitely is out of the race. I do have to say that Saito is still running, but got turned around. Tomen Megalek TNT racing car though, is that with Jonas Nakurian into turn number 1? Indeed it was. Looks as though those 2 drivers had a bit of a difference in their braking zones.
Yeah, Saito made a huge mistake earlier and he just got into the back of a few drivers in front, so lots of damage to Yuta Saito's car, but very scruffy few laps for some of these drivers. Olli Packalen in the front had a terrible start off the line. He dropped down the order to 8th. Then he passed over the corpse in that first little section of the racetrack, so Olli Packalen didn't get away well. But for Mitchell De Jong to run away with this lead at this stage of the race, that's what he wants to do. He needs to break free of that DRS zone from his teammate. And remember, those pit stops are coming around lap 10 to 15, so we could see these drivers in very early in this race.
Yeah, we could have anything between a 1-stop and a 3-stop strategy here today. We expect most people to likely do a 2-stopper due to the way that these tyres are wearing off. So, De Jong sets the fastest lap on lap number 2, 135.019. He's got himself a 1 second advantage over Martin Kroenke. We've got ourselves a car on pit road. That is Martin van Loozenhoorn there in the Apex Racing machine. As he'll come down, looks like he may well have a little bit of damage. We'll get an update on him when we can. But Rachel, now these guys have got to balance the fine line between attack and defense. They've got to figure out whether or not they can gain positions. If they can, do it quickly. Otherwise, they could end up being in a situation where their tyres are toast in just 7 laps time.
Absolutely, the tyre wear is much higher at the moment. New tyre compound, so real challenge for these guys. We're looking at 3 stops, as we said, and that means they really have to look after these. That is a lot of tyre protection you need to do. This track, it really has a lot of short, low-speed corners, so a lot of twisting the car. It can be really aggressive on the tyres, Will, so they have to really be smooth.
There, your top 8 running at the bottom of your screen. Patrick Holtzman, Riley Preston, and that's going to be the HPP car. A Ryan machine turned around. That's a 3-car incident as a consequence. And well, that was Riley Preston. We just saw it there. We'll get ourselves a second look, but Riley Preston, that is not the day he wants to have had that. Oh, the Orion car. There is his day done. We'll get ourselves a second look. But Riley Preston was working himself side by side and then it all went wrong. We'll get ourselves a second look at this one. But, well, Orion, they had all the luck at some point, and then it just goes wrong for them. Let's have a look then. Oh, he just gets turned around there on the run down into Tower Corner, and then he collects on the Apex Racing UK cars, and that one was just a little bit close. But, well, Johnny, we've got now more cars on pit road. These guys just need to settle it down a little bit, because we've had now 3 incidents in 3 laps.
Yeah, and Preston there, I don't blame Holtzman. He had the line and the space. I think Preston turned in a little bit as well. Some aero loose getting involved. So, I don't know, Riley Preston now in the pit lane. And a couple of other drivers as well. I think Alex Simpson might have been the Apex Racing UK car involved. So, he's always sustaining damage in the early laps. He's a driver that gets a little bit unlucky too. And good to see, actually, a few drivers who made some great starts here. Michael Dinkel up 4 places. Cam Stark from 33rd on the grid to 18th. Some rapid starts through the field. But that top 10 has basically remained the same. A few position changes here and there. I think a big name to watch out for is Joni Tomala. He did make that mistake at Phillip Island, we remember. Did take both himself and Riley Preston out of the race. But he's here to redeem himself, and he can take that drop week. So he's looking to make his way past Gregor Hutu, and we've seen him pass 2 Coanda Simsport cars before. Don't count out Joni Tomala at this stage of the race.
We just saw Ollie Pakula was able to get himself past Mogar Philo in that battle for P number 6 on track, and now Pakula is going to try and close up to his teammate, the red line car of Alexi Usiakola. Your top 2 drivers are breaking away, however. Mitchell DeYoung and Martin Conke now for 1.7 second advantage over Gregor Hutu. Past the start-finish line, they will come again. 134.9 for DeYoung. It's a 134.9 also for Martin Conke. A 135.2 for Gregor Hutu. 0.3 of a second slower at the start of this event. So Coanda looking as though they have themselves some good form right now. Down in your pack, you got yourself 3 cars separated by 1 second. That is Jeremy Bootsleep in 8th, Devin Corpse in 9th, then Robin Friscott rounding out your top 10, and Roll Rachel. These guys in this mid-pack, they've got to be careful, got to make sure they get things going, but you can see the rear flat with David Corpse just lifting up as he gets himself into one of the DRS zones.
Yeah, certainly does, and it's a very early part of management here, Will. The
Oh,
track
sorry,
is so narrow, it's
trouble! We got ourselves, we just talked about them, and they've just crashed there down at the hairpin, turn number 6, and well, Paul Hilbrink was the person that started that one up there. We'll get ourselves a second look at that, and it seems to be, every time we talk about this mid-pack battle, something has gone wrong, but Robin Friscott said Paul Hilbrink, all involved in an incident. We'll try and show you that one again from on board of that driver, of Robin Friscott first. You'll see just ahead now, Paul Hilbrink's going to loop it. He touches one of his teammates potentially. That is one of the Orion cars, and Robin Friscott's involved with it as well. So it seems to be absolute pandemonium at the start of this event. Let's see if we can get another look then from Paul Hilbrink. We're trying to get that camera pointed on him now, but well, it's all just been absolutely crazy at the start of this event. And there is Paul. It wasn't Paul Hilbrink, sorry, it was one of the other Radicals car. But well, you see Paul Hilbrink had his own spin, and that collected another Radical, the Apex Racing car. It's all kicking off here. Radicals cars, Apex cars, Orion cars, all over the place right now, Rachel.
Yeah, absolutely. As I was trying to say, it's narrow here. There's not a lot of room, and it's very easy to put a wheel on the grass or on the rumble strips and spin around. And unfortunately, that means you've got an issue when there's cars in close proximity. It can lead to all sorts of calamity, and it is doing so far. It's a bit of a cleaner start than it was last year, but it's still a bit of a messy one here today.
Yeah, it was Jeremy Bootu that was involved in that incident the last time by, so we are going to try and get ourselves another look at that one. Out front, by the way, it is Hutu pulling out, falling back even a little bit. He's now 2.3 seconds behind Martin Cronke. Cronke is in the coattails of Mitchell DeYoung. So here's what we were trying to find a moment ago. This is Jeremy Bootaloo, and ahead of him, that was Mogar Philo. Now we're going to go on board with Paul Hilbrink, and you'll see that he gained quite a lot of time. Sorry, with Jeremy Bootaloo, he gained a lot of time on the run into that corner over his teammate, and it just looks like he completely locked that car up. That spun him around, and that caused that chain reaction. And well, Johnny seems to be locking up, seems to be the big order of the day here.
Yeah, and you can't lock up because you need to save that tyre life. So a lot of these drivers need to be patient. The bumps don't help. That's a big factor in terms of locking up. The more the bumpy braking zones, especially down out to that hairpin at turn 7, the final corner as well as you traverse through there. There's a lot of different setup options you need to adjust throughout the past 2 weeks in testing that affect how you lock up, as well as your left foot too, how you control the brake pedal. So a lot of these drivers here today who are struggling, maybe with temperatures a little bit out there. You know, we do have a couple of it's 39-degree track temperature, but it's 22-degree ambient, so it's good conditions for racing, you could say. I wouldn't be complaining about weather for brakes. I think it's more driver error at this stage.
Marty Piatella battling with Sebastian Jobe down towards the rear part of your field, actually. Sebastian Jobe going to ride on board of him in the Apex Racing UK car. Now, he didn't have himself a fantastic qualifying, and he's already 25 seconds behind your race leader after just 6 laps scored complete here. And he's down 2 positions from where he started. Well, Rachel, we bigged Sebastian Jobe up after the first round of this championship, but it doesn't look as though that those Apex cars are working well at this racetrack, because we've seen lockups, we've seen half spins, we've seen these guys just struggling to keep control of their cars at points.
Yeah, it's certainly a trouble for the guys at Apex today. It's not what we expect from them. They've done a lot of practice, so really quite unsure what's happening with them. But, well, this place is difficult for anybody, Will, and it's a real difficult track. The lockups, well, it could be they're trying to capture too much ERS energy when they're braking zones. Perhaps they need to run that back a little bit, dial it down, not recover quite as much, and be a little bit softer on the brakes.
On board with Peter Berryman, he's your biggest mover inside your top 10 right now, but there's some fantastic numbers. Cam Stark up 17 positions, Ilka Hapala up 14 spots. We've also had some fantastic drives down the mid part and the rear part of your field, and this is the thing, I think some of these people have gained heavily, Johnny, through to the incidents at the start of this event, not by the fact they've been gifted positions, but the fact they've been able to navigate traffic and anticipate what is going on ahead of them, to the point that they don't then end up being involved in people's incidents, and instead know how to slow it down and then get themselves through the carnage.
Yeah, and sometimes these drivers down the field spend more time focusing on their race pace rather than their qualifying pace, so I guess in the end it's not really too much of a surprise. But what is a big surprise are those big positions that are made up, such as Cam Stark.
Yeah, as we just got ourselves now a look down. This is a battle for P9 between Robin Friscops and David Cobbs. Those guys continue to scrap it up. We've got ourselves Sebastian Jobe is come on towards pit road after just 7 laps for a long pit stop there. So something's happened to Sebastian. He's down in P number 30, a 10-second pit stop. And of course, you don't take fuel in this series anymore, so pit stops we normally expect them to be only about 4 to 5 seconds. Instead, we have ourselves a 10-second stop for Sebastian Jobe as he falls down to the very rear of your field. But here are your top 2. Mitchell Dion, Martin Cronke, 2.5 seconds is the gap between Coanda and Redline for P2, P3. And last time by, again, they were 1.5 tenths of a second faster than that driver of Gregor Hutu. But it's interesting to note, actually, Martin Cronke and Hugo Louise actually had themselves an incident down at Sunset Bend about this point into the event about 3 years ago, and that will be heavy on the mind of Martin Cronke right now. You often gain up quite heavily in Sunset Bend. We always talk about it. 1,000 lines into the corner, only a handful of them are fast. Cronke knowing right now that he can't be too aggressive, but he has to work with his teammate in order to get himself up positions. And well, Rachel, 2.5 seconds. It will come down to tyre management. 2 or 3 stops here, of course. A 3-stop strategy, we expect them in anywhere between about realistically, about lap number 15.
Yeah, we certainly do well. It's going to be a difficult one for them, of course. Like I said, tyre life much reduced, so expecting, like you say, 3 stops for them today. And yeah, 15 is probably the window we're going to start seeing first stops.
On board now with Alex Simpson running himself in P number 14. Alex Simpson in P number 15. Of course, Alex Simpson's one of those drivers that has gained heavily in this event. He's up 15 positions since the start of this event in the 05 Apex Racing UK machine as he continues his charge up through the field. Of course, though, he's got those positions early. He's currently 1.1 seconds behind Dinkel. Just got to move it up a little bit. He could well have a chance of touching that top 10. Behind them, we've got ourselves a 4-car train right now. It really has got Dion Burgess, Yuta Saito and Emil Henriksen in the main part of it, but Molly Piatella is just ahead of him. Of course, Yuta Saito has already had an issue here today, Johnny, but he's bounced back. He's currently running himself in P20, trying to move himself back through the field. Of course, he is down 4 positions from when he started.
I believe we might be having a few issues with Johnny, but yeah, he is down quite a few spots at the moment, but it's early on. We've still got pit cycles to go, and with the amount of pit stops we have, it can certainly be done.
So here we are then, working ourselves now on lap number 10 of 52 here on the 3rd round of the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series. Out the front of the field, we've got ourselves Martin Cronke, Mitchell de Jong, still separated by about 4/10 of a second. If they are on this second strategy, we could actually well see them in the next few laps. Would be worth noting. Fastest lap of the race so far, that's actually been set by Martin Cronke in that second position. An average lap speed of 136.5 miles an hour, a 134.889. Behind him, Gregor Hutu, well, he's currently working himself now 2.8 seconds behind Cronke. Still some great battles going on in your mid-part. Here is Yuta Saito back on board of him as he works himself behind Dion Verges. These 3 guys, you've got Pablo Lopez. Happy birthday to Pablo Lopez, number 88 machine, as GoPro is one of the drivers we've got on board for. Head over to raceball.tv/WCS Central. You want to see on board some 3 of the Radicals Online drivers, as well as Pablo GoPro Lopez, currently working himself in the 18th position, and he is up 6 positions since the start of this event. Pablo having himself a great race here today. Let's see whether we can actually get yourself a look at the start of this event then. We'll try and see if we can rewind the tape and see if we can get ourselves a look at the start of this event. And it all centered around Yuta Saito. So this was, as I said, start of this event here today. We need to pay our attention back to the mid part of your field. We'll get that tape running for you in just 1 second time. And well, Johnny, the thing about this track, it's very, very narrow in your midfield. As here we can see the start of this event, we're looking at Yuta Saito and the carnage that happens down at turn number 1.
Huge mistake from the Japanese driver there. He is inconsistent, we know that, but I wouldn't have thought he'd make a mistake on lap 1 in the first few corners. So indeed there for Yuta Saito, he is making his way up through the field. He's almost past Dion Verges now. I can voice my opinions finally. Apologies for the technical issues before, but he just can't make his way past Dion Verges. Now, this is a big factor for him because it's the same problem for David Corpse up there in P10. He struggled to make his way past Robin Friscops. How are you supposed to make your way past as Yuta Saito throws up the inside here of Dion Verges into turn 10? And as I say that, Will, he makes it past a very consistent driver.
He does indeed. Showing you a couple more replays at the start. Well, that's what happened there. Yuta Saito breaking out into the start of this event. We want to have a look back a little bit, if we can, we'll say forward, on board of Mitchell de Jong and show you what happened to him at the start of this event. Because, he, of course, he was able to get the race lead away from Martin Cronke. Didn't get a charge shot at the start of the race, which show it to you now. You can see just de Jong just so much better than on that second phase, and you often hear them talking about that second phase. Hutu had himself a bit of a look. De Jong was able to go around the outside, take that race lead away from Martin Cronke, and well, it just shows them that the early pace of these drivers is so important. And you can see then the pandemonium that starts going on behind. You'll see it about now as these guys work themselves, a couple of guys at the start of this event, just getting themselves into a little bit of bother. But let's go back then and show the race as it is happening right now. Yuta Saito, of course, we just talked about him as he's moved himself up in position. He's now scrapping it out with Pablo Lopez behind him. Martin Piatella just ahead of him. In fact, Martin Piatella is right on the rear of Cam Stark right now. That, Rachel, is a battle for P number 16.
It certainly is. Cam Stark made a good move through the field from 33rd. His teammate ahead of him as well, Alex Simpson, is up in P15 from P30. So 2 big movers from the Apex camp. They really need to sort out their qualifying because they have great race pace. It is definitely putting them in a bad position in the field, but we'll have to see. Cam Stark there, of course, that's Alex Simpson, I'm sorry, he was chasing Michael Dinkel there from the Gecko Vortex Sim Racing team. We'll be having a fight in our hands here for P14, so another spot for 0-5.
Indeed, as we've got ourselves Andre Borcha, Ilka Hapala currently separated by 4/10 of a second as they exit Le Mans corner. Let's see a look at what happens as you go past the DRS zone. Can Ilka close up? Well, he didn't get a good run out of Lamar, but you see just how quickly he closes up, and well, that'll be Ilka Happara taking the run down to the inside then of Marty Piatella as they work themselves through Sunset Bend right now. That is the power of the DRS, Johnny. As they come down in towards turn number 1, once again, Happara runs himself in 11th. Andre Borcher is in 12th. Then you got yourself Jeremy Bootsloop, of course, running himself in that 13th position. Jeremy Bootsloop, of course, was there in an incident earlier on. He had himself a spin down at the hairpin. We're going to go on board with Bootsloop now. He looks as though he's not yet. He is going to be within DRS range of Borcher and Happara ahead of him. But Borcher not able then to move himself past Happara as they'll come through into that hairpin one more time. Working ourselves now on lap number 13 of 52 here in the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series, round number 3. Don't forget, for live timing and scoring, visit racebook.tv/timing, as we've got ourselves now just 4 tenths of a second separating Mitchell de Jong and Martin Kroenke. They have been, Johnny, around this for most of the event, but now they've got a 3-second advantage over Gregor Hutu. That free-stop window is officially open.
Yeah, and I'd work together in this situation. I mean, there's de Jong pulling away at the final corner. I'd keep breaking away from Gregor Hutu, because if you can fight towards where it matters, towards the end of the race, I don't think... Kroenke is close to de Jong now, but I don't think he's going to break away if he gets past him. I feel like de Jong and Kroenke are on a very similar pace at the moment. But, I mean, talking about Andre Borcher before, you have to be happy for Andre Borcher. Part of these Commander Simsport team, the 2 leaders up there, but he had such a terrible start to the season. He's currently in P12. I mean, good to see him back up where he should be.
Well, there's the gap, your top 2 drivers, and there's the gap then from P2 to P3. Currently it's scored at 3 seconds as these guys continue to scrap it out. And just behind, Mogar Philo versus Peter Berryman. Well, Rachel, Berryman's that driver who, again, he knows how to charge through the field. One of the best pure racers we saw in last year's iRacing Pro Series of Road Racing. Currently running himself in the 8th position. His last lap was a 1:35.831. He's up 4 places since this race started. Berryman looking fantastic right now in that Apex Racing UK car, just trying to find a way past Mogar Philo, but we know how good Philo is at defensive driving and keeping his position, keeping his ground, keeping his emotions in check on the racetrack.
Absolutely will, and this is one of those battles we've seen for a long time through the history of the series. It's a Radical Steel Series team and Apex Racing, so it's one we've seen from the very start of this series to the end, and we'll see for a long time to come. Hopefully, these 2 teams very evenly matched, I feel, in performance. Berryman and Philo, 2 of the best drivers they've got, really. Obviously had a great qualifying for Peter, much better than his teammates, which has got him in his position to run in P8, fighting for P7 here, but big run off the final corner. Sunset Bend will use that DRS1 defensive move there from Philo. Around the outside will go Peter Berryman. Will he have enough to sweep around the outside here? He does. Big move there for Peter Berryman.
He's going to get himself ahead and move himself up into P7, but of course, let's not forget that the next DRS zone is just 1 corner or so away now. So Berryman's going to make sure that he gets onto the power well. Then he's going to make sure that basically he's got to play defense now for the next half of the lap. But he's okay. He's got himself all he needs. Doesn't need to worry about Mogar Philo at this stage of the event. Berryman now up into P7. Philo down into P number 8. Ilka Happara still on the rear of David Corp, but he's got himself Jeremy Bootsloop still for company. We just showed you Yuta Saito's made himself a pit stop. Benjamin Lindsay, well, he's just done one as well. 4.5 seconds. He's out and away. He goes back onto track. Saito, by the way, pit stop was 9.9 seconds, so evidently had to replace a front wing there. As Lindsay comes back out onto track, it's actually one of the most difficult pit exits here. She feeds directly into the line of traffic, Johnny. Benjamin Lindsay is on the free stop strategy, we think, or it could be a very long final stint of this event, because, of course, as that fuel goes out, it does make it easier to handle the race car over a longer stint.
Yeah, and especially going through those fast sweeping corners, such as Sunset Bend, the final corner, and exiting the pits into turn 1 and 2. So it's a very difficult exit, as you say. I mean, you're preparing for battles as you come out through the pits, waiting for, if you have a spotter, they're telling you which cars are around you. You're also looking in your mirrors too, and there's no grip as well. Hats off to Peter Berryman before. Went on the dirty line around the outside, just no rubber there, and he made the pass stick, and I think it goes to show that tyre wear is coming a big factor at this stage of the race. Mogo Filio's 2.5 or 2 seconds at the moment slower than Mitchell de Jong in the lead, and Filio's 20 seconds off the leader, so it's not like he's down in the field and impeded by traffic. He is really struggling with grip and tyres at this point. It seems everybody in the 1 minute 35s is fine, but those in the 1 minute 36s are desperately struggling for a new set of tyres.
Well, here's something that's worth noting. Mitchell de Jong's last lap was 135.1. His best lap a 134.9. Martin Kroenke is, he's still within half a second. Actually, it's worth noting that last lap, Hutu was faster than Kroenke for the first real time in this event. As actually Yuta Saito sets the fastest lap of the event so far, a 134.653. That there shows you the benefit of new boots on your car. As well, we do expect to see most of these guys, even if they're on a two-stop strategy, they'll be in realistically around the next 3 to 4 laps time. We'll keep you updated as more guys come on towards pit road, try to unravel that picture, the jigsaw puzzle as we call it, that is known as strategy here in the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series. Don't forget, if you want to check out our onboard stream, you can do so. All you need to do is click the tab on YouTube, let us know using hashtag IRGPSebring what you want us to show, and we will show it for you here today. Bootaloo, David Corpse on the exit of the final corner, down towards turn number 1 they will come, and Jeremy Bootaloo will have the inside line. It looks as though that car of David Corpse will give it to him. Rachel, the Corpse has lost 2 places in 2 laps. That is what we like to call pushing too hard, and now he's having to just try and preserve his car as much as he can to just kind of like nurse it on towards pit road.
Yeah, certainly. That car's really going off. And we said time management would be a major thing here, Will. And his times have dropped off steadily from the 1 minute 35s to start with down to very low 36s here. So drop off of about a second for him, if not a little bit more. That car is struggling a bit in mid-corner from looking at it.
Andre Borcha, 4.3 second pit stop, comes out right behind Sebastian Job. What did I say, Rachel, at the top of this broadcast? What did I say before this broadcast? Traffic management just a little bit too slow coming out of pit road for Andre Borcha. He now has traffic ahead of him. That will hurt his tyres for the next few laps. Even though Job is, on a different strategy as it really stands right now, Borcha is going to really have to pay the price for this one. As actually, no, Mitchell de Jong is on pit road. He relinquishes the race lead. So de Jong on pit road after 18 of 52 laps.
Definitely so. So de Jong right now, he's out and away. And he should, I think Kroenke right now could undercut Mitchell de Jong. It's going to be a critical phase of the race because right now Mitchell de Jong, he's releasing Kroenke into clean air, and this is where we're going to find out whether Kroenke was impeded by his own teammate. Where will de Jong feed out though? He comes in behind Mogo Filio in 9th place. He has 1.4 seconds of clean air in front. Now he's going to make up that time very, very rapidly. I think he could relinquish the race lead here unless he can keep up the grip. It's going to be a very close one. Let's see if Kroenke reacts. Maybe even Hutu or Tomala. I'd say if Hutu and Tomala should stay out as long as they can here.
Indeed so. Well, you might want to change strategy on the fly, of course. Let's not forget, there's no fueling you need to worry about in this series. So instead, it's a case of literally bringing that car on towards pit road, putting fresh boots and driving away. You can start 4.2 second pit stop. Yunus Decurium, 7.4 second pit stop. So this window is now open. Let's see how many more laps you will see Martin Kroenke do. He's on the exit now of Sunset Bend, but he's just had to slow down. He has lost himself. He's cut the course there, so he's had to slow it down. We'll get ourselves a replay of that one in a moment, but that lead to Gregor Hutu has gone from 3 seconds down to absolutely nothing. If you're Kroenke, you arguably will come in towards pit road now. Indeed he will. So Martin Kroenke will come in. Let's show you what happened. Down on the run toward, well, he just goes completely off there, and he had to give time back as a consequence. Martin Kroenke under pressure. How many times do we talk about that one, Rachel? He comes on towards pit road, but that is something we don't often see from Martin Kroenke.
Certainly not. Pit road here, Will, is really difficult getting on here. Your car is really turning as hard as it wants just to make Sunset Bend onto the start-finish straight. Now try and make onto pit road as fast as you possibly can. The car doesn't want to turn that sharply. It's a really tough position to be in, and it's just difficult for him to sort out. Of course, you're under pressure to make the lap as fast as possible to get in. Yeah, it all adds up.
Well, Martin Kroenke comes out and he has got himself Ilka Happala between himself and Mitchell de Jong. Wouldn't know what the cost of that was. It works out to be 3.5 seconds. Gregor Hutu now leads this motor race. 1 second back is Joni Tamara in the number 51 iNEX racing car. And, well, it looks as though that Hutu could, well, be just doing what Hutu does better than anyone else in all the sim racing, making it into a position where he can dominate the race through the sequence of pit stops. And, well, Johnny, that cut, though, for Martin Kroenke, is that a fast part of the racetrack? You're changing directions. What's your opinion on it?
Well, he lost the rear end, and that's where roll bar and suspension and mechanical grip comes into play. I think it's just tyre life, though. He was really pushing hard to make up time on his teammate. But the big mistake for Kwanda here is that, look at this, the two Finns out there, the two race winners this season, Hutu and Tormala, stay out, and Tormala is catching Gregor Hutu. He's gained half a second over the past 2 laps, and he's only 0.4 behind going into this first sector of the racetrack, this tight complex. Kroenke's cut, by the way, wasn't that similar to what happened last year? He lost the car around that kind of area of the racetrack, had a slowdown. It's happened again for Martin Kroenke, not a section of the racetrack he likes, that Le Mans section.
Indeed not, but he has just been able to work himself past Ilka Happala. He's back into P8. It was critical he did that one on that lap. Otherwise, Kroenke would have lost the sheen on those tyres. He would have been into a situation he would have had to have pushed just a little bit too hard to try and get past that number 16 Orion Racing car, who we know is very, very fast. Hutu then, from Tamara, from Alexei Yisiakola, from Oni Pakala. 4 Finns in the top 4 positions as it stands. Peter Berryman in 5th, Robin Friskops in 6th. None of these drivers have yet pitted. Your first pitting driver, well, that one is Mitchell de Jong in the number 24 VRS Klein Sim Sports car, and he now is 2.7 seconds ahead of Martin Kroenke. The interesting thing will be, where will Hutu fall out of this one, as Joni Tamara is right on the rear of Gregor Hutu. Does he have a straight line speed advantage? Well, yeah, he's much faster, but he wasn't close enough on the exit of Le Mans. Maybe Hutu might decide to come in this lap. Tamara's taking a tighter entry, but he won't come in. Tamara looking as though he wants to try and race Hutu on track right now for the race lead, Rachel.
Yeah, absolutely amazing, of course, buoyed by his win in that first round. Joni Tamala is looking rapid here today, Will, chasing down 5-time. What an impressive performance from the young Finn. That 51 car from iNEX Racing looking really rapid here. Great on these slightly older tyres here. Really, really impressive performances. He looks to be going for a 2-stopper, I think, him and Hutu.
But he just lost out there on the run through Big Bend. You can see that he just underpowered, got the rear end of that car. All shapes are wrong, lost himself half a second as a consequence on what, well, could have been his chance to battle it out for the race lead. So now Tamara is going to just have to wait again. And here's an interesting thing. What he could do, Johnny, if he sees Hutu taking that wide line out of Sunset Bend, knowing the fact that he might well do another lap, I'd say, come on, try and do the undercut on him. We are now living in Undercut City.
Yeah, and that's a good point as well, because he can do that, which could work out really well for him. But if he has the better grip now over Gregor Hutu, the 5-time world champion, if Hutu pits this lap around, I would stay out. You zig when he zags. You do the opposite of what he does, and this pit lane's a good chance to do it, because you can see him duck in at the last second. I would certainly do the opposite. Then you get that 1 lap of fresh rubber next time around. But let's see as they cross Sunset Bend now, whether any of them come into that pit lane on lap 21.
Well, Hutu's going to stay out. Tamara's going to stay out. We're going to go back then and show you Mitchell de Jong versus Robin Friskops, because this looks as though that maybe de Jong might be able to do it in towards Sunset. No, he's not going to be close enough. He won't be anywhere near close enough when we know the age-old story about iNEX Racing being the fastest in a straight line. Well, it looks as though that they've got that again, but a much better run, actually, out of Sunset for Mitchell de Jong. Now, he's just going to have to try and wait in line. This is going to hurt him, but he's going to go down to the inside. I think that maybe, actually, Johnny, iNEX just gave him that position.
Yeah, he knows he's on slower rubber there. Friskops hasn't entered the pit lane, and there's a reason why Robin Friskops is one of the most consistent drivers on this grid. It's because he knows how to stay out of trouble, and if he sees that leader go past, he knows he's not in the same race as Mitchell de Jong, and I hate that, by the way. I hate it. It reminds me of Paul di Resta when he used to just let people pass for no reason. And oh, big incident there. That's Friskops hitting into the back of Mitchell de Jong at the hairpin.
Well, we're going to stay with this one then. We were just showing you a replay of the past. We're going to stay with this one. But de Jong and Friskops, we were just talking about how nice Friskops was. And of course, Friskops is on old tyres. But we need to figure out what the consequence is for Mitchell de Jong. So this is a situation we're actually going to have a look now on board with Robin Friskops as they come down in towards the hairpin. We're on board with Friskops. What happened? Oh, Friskops just runs right into the back of Mitchell de Jong, and that is pretty much going to put paid to Kawan the SimSports chance of winning this murder race. And well, we've seen this so already in this race, Rachel. The fact that old tyres, you lock up under braking. It's the second time it's happened. Mitchell de Jong there, we'll just have a look from the rear of him as he comes down in towards the hairpin. He doesn't brake any earlier, just looks as though that Friskops completely locks up.
Yeah, he does, and we've seen this happening quite a lot, of course, and disappointing to see there, Will, of course, but he's going to pass it to the inside now as we'll see that move done by Mitchell de Jong, who will get that done finally, thankfully avoiding any major problems. Yeah, that was over Ilka Hapala. Now, the good thing, actually, for Mitchell de Jong, if you ever want to hear about Coanda luck, and we always talk about it, Coanda, they always seem, even when they have issues, to get lucky, as Gregor Hutu. Just keeping an eye out on him at the same time. If you want to hear about Coanda luck, luckily there, for Mitchell de Jong, he had the escape road that he could go down. It's a second variation of the hairpin. He could actually just slow that car down again, get it through the corner and minimize his time loss. However, de Jong is now behind Martin Kroenke by 5 seconds as it stands. Tomala still right on the rear of Gregor Hutu. Battle for your race lead is half of a second, but Tomala not going to get a good enough run out of turn number 15, 16, Le Mans corner. Now, he works himself down that back straightaway. Tomala still there behind, still not able to close enough into Sunset Bend. You will have to wait until the run through Big Bend. And actually, no, they are going to stay on track. Tomala, actually, it's just a lot later getting onto the power, Johnny.
And he's 0.4 of a second faster last lap around. It's only a matter of time before he takes the lead here. It's just he can't make his way past the car in front, and that's an issue we've seen. These ERS trains and DRS trains, whatever the crowd and the fans like to call them. We've seen him over the first 2 rounds. This time around, he's stuck behind Gregor, and he just seems that he can't really on the straight. He's gaining time, but it's just the dirty air through the corners doesn't help him. Here's a good chance at the hairpin. He's going to have a look maybe up the inside. Little bit of a peak, but oh, and a bit of a wobble too. Now, don't forget last round, Tomala did make a mistake under braking, so that's the last thing he wants to do today. He needs to stay calm. We're almost at 50% of the distance there, so he's got a lot of chances here to take the lead. He's conserving the tyres as best as anyone in this field at the moment. Incredible lap times from Joni Tomala, so he just needs to stay patient. He's a young man. He's only 19 years of age, so he can. I think he's doing a good job. Pat on the back for Joni Tomala so far.
We've got a lot of people on pit road. You just saw Alex Simpson make a pass and then come immediately on towards pit road. Pit stop time for Martin van Loozenord as he comes out, 5.0 seconds. Diego Oliveira is going to be a 4.8 second pit stop as they circulate back onto track then, as we are now getting ourselves into one-stop territory. Here is Gregor Hutu working himself down the back straightaway in towards Sunset Bend. Here's a look from behind. Will they come in this time by? They're getting themselves right close now to the limit as Hutu will come in then. Hutu will come in at the conclusion of lap number 24, and you can see the wide arcs that he took in there. One would almost argue he did that deliberately to make sure that Tomala would have had the opportunity to join him on pit road. We've already talked about Undercut City. There was another example of it. Hutu then into his pit box. Let's get a look at the pit stop time. Let's see where he feeds out. As the pit time now on your screen, 4.1 seconds. Out and away he comes. Tomala leads. Kroenke's pass. Mitchell de Jong is going to go past as well. But let's not forget, Kroenke and de Jong each have to make another stop in this event, we think, as it stands. So So, well, this race is all really shaked up now as we've got Oli Pakala just completing his pit stop as well in a total time of 4.2 seconds. Alexei Isiakola, 4.7 second pit stop. Michael Dinkle on pit road for Vortex Sim Racing. He will do his stop and he'll be out and away in 4.5 seconds. Philo has made himself that journey on towards pit road, and Tomo Meglek is on the lane right now, Rachel.
Yeah, he is, and it hopefully will be a good stop for him now. Have to keep an eye on that one. But yeah, the fight out front, it really surprised me, Will, so far. Got some really big shake-ups here, as we'll have to see when Tamala will pit soon himself. He's coming down towards sunset. This could be his lap.
Indeed, so 9.3 second pit stop there for Tomo Meglek. Of course, he had to make himself a change to his front wing. That's the reason why that pit stop time was longer. On board then with Yoni Tamada. He's going to push him very wide through Sunset Bend. He's going to stay out and do another lap. Well, he was four-wheel drifting it there through Sunset Bend, Johnny. I thought he was going to come in. I think he had to abort that one.
No, his tyres look off, but then you look at the lap time at 35.0. Not bad for Yoni Tomala, but then when you look at the fresh rubber from the Coanda Simsport cars at 34.4. So Tomala's definitely not going to make his way past Hutu come the end of this stops, unless it's an incredibly fast pit stop for him. But I guess in the end, he gets that extra bit of fresh rubber. He leads a lap as well. Don't forget, you do get an extra championship point for leading a lap. So Tomala gets that advantage, and don't forget, with that drop week, you get one for the first 12 rounds of the season. He'll hopefully take it at Phillip Island only. And then what happens is, he could still be in the hunt for this championship. We mustn't forget that just because Yoni Tomala led the first race of the season and it was unpredictable, doesn't mean he can't keep up this form for the rest of the year. And it's probably the most amazing resurgence and story I've ever heard of in any type of motor racing, sim racing, whatever you want to call it or think about it. Yoni Tamala is the big deal, and he's the real deal right now. So we're seeing masterpiece and clockwork at its finest.
Master Piatella, 4.4 second pit stop. Then we had ourselves also the Orion team all on pit road. Here then is Yoni Tamala, and of course, one has got to remember as well, the later he stays out on his first stop, the fresher the rubber will be later on in the event. He may have the opportunity to fight back towards the end of this one. He takes a very tight line. He's coming in this time by halfway distance. Yoni Tamala, number 51, Inex Racing Machine, is on pit road now. So there you can see pit road speed here. Oh, it's slow. It's only 45 miles an hour. We get ourselves then a look as all these guys on pit road waiting now for him to get himself into his pit box. He will do that now. Let's have a look at the pit time for him then as he comes on in. It should be a quick one. It's 4.4 seconds. Where is Gregor Hutu? As they work themselves, Hutu will most likely go past. Indeed he will. You'll see him there breeze past already. And those 2 laps cost him about 4 seconds. But let's not forget that Yoni Tamada will have fresher rubber at the end of this race as the tyres for Hutu start to fall off the cliff. The thing is though, Rachel, we know how good Gregor Hutu is on tyre management. We saw on the first round of the championship how good Yoni Tamara is on tyre management. This will come down, and some people don't like this, but I do. This will come down to who now can look after these compounder tyres late on in this event. And this race really will start with about 10 to go.
Absolutely, but there's something really telling here. We thought 2 stops, 3 stops would be a thing here, but it looks like Yoni Tamala and Gregor Hutu are one-stopping this. And if they are, my money is on Yoni Tamala. He is in a really good position, and we saw how quick he was relatively at the end of that last stint. Before he came in, of course, he'd literally been hitting 1 minute 35s for the entire 27 laps, which is super consistency. His fastest lap of the race was before he pitted, 1 minute 35.012. His fastest lap was on 25 lap old tyres, Will.
Indeed, so
that is huge. I've changed my opinion. He's my pick. This guy is flying.
Indeed so, and let's not forget as well that he was 4-wheel drifting it through that final corner as well. Lap number 25 into this event. We know there's still plenty of action to go. We're looking at some of it right now. This is Cam Stark with David de Corps. They've both made fuel stops, of course. So not fuel stops, tyre stops even. De Corps had himself a 10-second stop as he had to get himself a new front wing to that car. He is back out on track and he is hunting pounding Cam Stark right now through turn number 16. They'll come, just kicks up a cone there on the exit of turn number 16. Doesn't look as though he's going to be able to gain much time into the DRS zone. He will come. Looks as though that he will get close, and he's going to try and dive down to the inside, and the two make contact in towards Sunset Bend, and well, that's going to push Cam Stark all the way off track. And well, Johnny, I'm going to be honest there, it looked like a late pass as is, and Cam Stark will not be happy by that one.
No, Cam Stark is, he'll get heated by that. I think Davey really dove into the braking zone. He didn't dive in the braking, he screamed into the braking zone. I think it was a little bit desperate from David the Corpse. You need to manage those types of dive bombs right. And Cam Stark definitely not pleased, and he'll be okay. He'll come next round. He'll still be motivated, but how's he? Why are you diving into that? You need to be patient there, Davey. I think he could have made that move into the next corner, and that comes into that motorsport sort of mentality where who's patient, who's not, who's smart, and who's not.
Well then, after pit stops, there is your top 8, bottom of your screen. Martin Kroenke leads by 6 seconds over Mitchell de Jong. Then Gregor Hutu runs himself in 3rd. Yoni Tamana in 4th. Alexei Usiakoda in 5th. Olli Pakala, Peter Berryman, and Mo Garfilo. They are your top 8 as we're now into the second half of this, the 3rd round of the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series. And well, it is worth noting as well that as this race will progress, strategies will continue to develop and continue to emerge. What we do know, however, is that we think that Coanda are on a 2-stop strategy. Unless they try and change it back right now, but I don't think they can. Because Gregor Hutu pitted so much later, he currently is about 7 seconds behind Martin Kroenke. However, here's the important thing to note, Johnny. Mitchell de Jong really should be leading this race by about 4 seconds. He, of course, had the incident that we saw with Robin Friscops. Then Martin Kroenke messed up on his own. That cost him 3 seconds. Towards the end of the race, we could well be talking about those 3 seconds, those 5 seconds as being pivotal to who wins this motor race.
Yeah, every 10th matters in motor racing. I think we don't need to say that again because that's obvious, and all motor racing fans know that. Pit stop practice, that's a huge difference maker in races, small incidents as well. I think ERS management's going to be a big factor come the end of the race, and I'm not counting it out now. Have Coanda fix those issues where towards the end of events they start to lose power a lot, and we've seen so many drivers start to slow down because of fuel and the way they manage that ERS. It's a big factor come the end of this race. Right now though, Joni Tomala with those fresh rubber, 3 laps extra, he is about 3/10 faster last time around on Gregor Hutu. The 5-time world champion crosses the line, sets a 1 minute 34.6. Tomala sets a 1 minute 34.5, so another 10th gained. It becomes so easy, it's so effortless in this situation, Will, when you're back and you're trying to chase a driver in front, and you have rubber that's about 3 or 4 laps fresher. The feeling of the effortless feeling of just driving the car around the racetrack, just trundling away, trying to make up time. It's literally an effortless feeling, and right now Tomala would be over the moon with this race. He could have a race win on his hands.
Indeed, and the fastest lap of this event so far, for those of you wondering, it has been set by the driver of Martin Kroenke, a 134.381. Of course, so we know that Tomala and Hutu will likely be on a 1-stop strategy, so that one is one of the battles. And the thing is, Rachel, is that the 2-stopper, the reason why it's not working is because de Jong and Kroenke really need to be eking out an advantage, but they're not, because right now they are both slower than Hutu and Tomala, and if you wanted to get yourself into position to win this race, they need to be, in my opinion, about 12-13 seconds ahead right now to then actually have a late race push when essentially they'll almost be a second lap faster than the rest of the field.
Yeah, it's certainly going to be an interesting one to see how this one plays out, Will. I'm not sure whether it's going to be that big an advantage, but it certainly will be one of sorts.
Next third, Josh Benjamin Lindsay battling at Alpha P number 22-23 right now. 7/10 of a second separating those drivers. Other battles scrapping it out, still on track. They involve Michael Dinkel and Marty Piatella. They are separated by about 4/10 of a second. And behind, Emil Henriksen and Martin van Loozenhoort separated by about 5/10 of a second. We're going to take you side by side here, ladies and gentlemen. You're watching Racebot TV, streaming live on iRacing Live. More and potentially understanding what is in that strategy battle. We'll be back after this.
Flashback. I'm a engineer at iRacing. I put together vehicle models. Started earlier in the year with a partnership with Mazda and Long Road Racing Engineering, where they supplied us with access to the car data, access to their drivers to allow us to put together really high-level vehicle model, and it's turned out really well so far in the development stages.
These new MX-5s are incredible. Between the BF Goodrich tire and then all the suspension engineering that Long Road Racing and that Mazda has done, I've been very fortunate to be one of the lead development drivers for the new Global MX-5 Cup car. We've done a lot of R&D on not only suspension, but things that will not only improve the safety of the vehicle for racing, but also the longevity of it in a racing environment. A couple fun aspects have been for us, not only on the suspension development side, but the virtual world side with iRacing, actually mirroring some of the same, for instance, damper settings or brake pad changes that we've made for different compounds and such, and then we'll actually mirror that in iRacing. It's incredible to me how similar both when we're driving the car on the test day and then we're on the sim, that we're actually able to make changes in iRacing to the damper valving, and it correlates exactly to our findings on the racetrack.
It was quite interesting. It was sort of the first time in iRacing where we developed a car in the sim along with a manufacturer and a race team. Generally speaking, a team or a manufacturer will send us a data dump of information covering everything from tires to aero if the car is set up that way, all the mechanical bits. The big difference is those cars are generally already in production or already racing, and this go around it was essentially from scratch. When Long Road Racing received their cars, we started getting our first bits of data, and as they got more data, we got more data, and we were able to go back and forth in the sim and compare with how the car performs on the racetrack.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to this round of 3 of the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series. And don't forget, Tuesday night is NASCAR night here on Racesport TV and on iRacing Live. Coming up this Tuesday, it will be NASCAR race night, and we are going to do something crazy. We'll give you details in the next couple of days here on Racesport TV. And don't forget also, the next round of the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series powered by iRacing.com is just 10 days away. So we welcome you back to coverage then. We've got developing stories here. Yuta Tsunoda has caught Gregor Hutu. Half a second between these two drivers right now. But let's not forget, the last time they were together on track, Yonis couldn't make the pass. This time he has to do it on track. Here's the reason why. Because of the fact at this stage of the event, his tyres are fresher by about 3 laps. He knows that if he can get himself past Gregor Hutu, he'll have himself the opportunity to almost dance off and make it INX's second win in this series, and that will mean over 6 races in the World Championship Series so far, in NASCAR and in this the Grand Prix Series. INX, well, their associated teams in INX, would have won 2/3 of them. That, Rachel, is a statistic worth thinking about.
Absolutely, what a huge statistic for the guys at iNEX Racing. What an incredible performance they've had so far, of course. Jake Sturgis and PJ over on the NASCAR side. And of course here it's Joni Tomala, and potentially the second one for him. I think if it plays out like we've seen the end of last cycle, this could be it. I think Kroenke and de Jong, stopping it might not be the right choice. This is going to come down to if Joni can pass Gregor early enough and start to pull away.
Sebastian Job, new fastest lap of the race so far, 137 miles an hour. That is a 134.239. You can see the gap closing then for Joni Tomala, down to a third of a second, but he doesn't seem to have enough to really be in the coattails on the run through 14, 15, 16. It looks as though for the time being, Tomala will stay in line, but he does get himself a good run past the start-finish line. We'll go on board with him. We'll have ourselves a look then as he works through turn number 1 right now. Let's see if he can stay within about a third of a second. This well could be exciting. And oh yeah, just to let you know, that is Mitchell de Jong that you see there at the very top of your screen, and then a lap down car. A much better run then for Joni Tomala. Let's see if we can make this one work, but we have seen people locking up through the sequence of corners. He'll be a brave man to look down to the inside, and Tomala decides not to do so just yet. But well, a 3-horse race is going to be much more exciting than a 2-horse race. De Jong's tyres, I wouldn't say have fallen apart really by any form of the imagination, but de Jong is falling into the clutches of Hutu and Joni Tomala. This is a 3-way battle right now. It's going to be a case of, Johnny, who can be the best in overtaking?
Yeah, it definitely will. We'll analyse it in a second, because I think Alexei Usiakla might be out of this race, unfortunately, from the 7th position there. So Alexei Usiakla, as we'll see now, pulled out, I think, with a little bit of a mistake and a tech issue. He's out of the race once again, a driver who can't afford another DNF. That's 2 already in 3 races this season.
Yeah, we'll see if we can get ourselves there. We can see the rear end then. Alexei Usiakla out of this event for Team Red Lion, and well, he's not having the luck then. Let's go look on board with Alexei Usiakla. Showed you what happened. Unfortunately, it looks as though it is going to be an unfortunate mechanical issue. The back end just coming out for him then. Alexei Usiakla into the Armco barriers. He is out of the race. Let's go back, show you. Joni Tomala versus Gregor Hutu versus Mitchell de Jong. The king of the dirty air potentially could well win this one. Robin Friskop's right behind Mogar Philo. That is an outgoing battle as well. Martin Piatella and Michael Dinkel. That one continues to develop. In fact, Friskop's at this stage of the event is closer to the rear of Mogar Philo. Going to go on board then with Friskop's, and he has to almost pull out of it there. But we do see that Mogar Philo comes on towards pit road at the same time. Johnny, that is what happens sometimes. Pit entry, pit exit here is so difficult. Poor Robin Friskop's that would have been the second person he'd run into today, as he just had to literally dart out of the way at the very last second.
Yeah, it gets very close, especially in these fragile McLaren MP430s, these open wheel cars. You definitely don't want to be making contacts. If you're in Kia Cup cars or anything else, GT cars, bump away. Get some more blood in racing. But right now, you can't afford too much blood and bumping in the World Championship Grand Prix Series here at iRacing. But let's analyze this from Joni Tomala's perspective in 4th place. If Hutu can't get past Mitchell de Jong, and he has DRS and ERS2 to help him, what can Joni Tomala do in this situation? Now, we've seen this over the first few rounds where these drivers get stuck in those trains. I think Tomala needs to just conserve his tyres. Here's Hutu having a look though at Mitchell de Jong. Can't get the pass stuck there. He's using the grip though on the exit. Now Tomala needs to identify 2 things: where he is good at exiting corners and where Hutu struggles exiting corners. He needs to attack in that area of the racetrack using all his ERS power there, and he could make his way past the 5-time world champion, his Finn compatriot.
Indeed, sir. And the interesting thing to note, and this almost comes down into a kind of oval racing mentality. You make a move, of course, you might be able to try and move up a position. Get it wrong, every action has an opposite and equal reaction. That means that could open the door to Tomala to try and dive it down the inside in return. This is a 3-way battle, P2, 3 and 4 in this event. What this is doing is it's just allowing Martin Kroenke to eke out that advantage just a little bit. Not enough that he's going to be able to win this event, but enough that as it stands, he's getting himself a cushion. As it stands, it looks as though he will come home about P4 if strategy were to work out perfectly from here. We have a look then from the rear of Mitchell de Jong as they work themselves through this ultra fast patch of racetrack down towards turn 14, 15, 16, and from here on in, Rachel, for De Jong, he's got to look at his own lines and just make sure he gets a good run out of them all. As they work themselves down the back straight away then. Here are those three drivers. You can see there, you've got a lap down car as well. In terms of this series, blue flag rules are in operation as Gregor Hutu has a half look down in towards Sunset Bend. Turn number 15. Nothing going to happen between those drivers for the time being. But this is mighty, mighty close. There is now 0.7 of a second separating these drivers as they come down in towards turn number 1 again. On board with Gregor Hutu. Through turn number 1, down towards turn number 2. Lap traffic could well be pivotal in this event, Johnny. And oh my, this is what the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series is all about.
Yeah, their tyres are around 10 laps fresher than the two Coanda Sims cars. De Jong is doing Kroenke a favour, and Hutu isn't doing any favours right now. Tourmalet almost gets into the back of Hutu, much of a replication like last year. Hutu almost gets into the back of a driver's in front, so Tourmalet this time around getting very, very feisty. He needs to stay patient, he's young. They need to tell him on the radio, hey, you've got plenty of chances. There's still 14 laps to go in this event. So I guess at this stage, if Hutu can't make his way past De Jong, which I'd give 2 or 3 more laps here for Tourmalet, because Hutu's smart enough to make a pass. He doesn't need 5-10 laps to identify where the good points are. If he can't make his way past Tourmalet De Jong based on speed here, Tourmalet just needs to rush past Hutu as quick as he can. It's this corner here where Tourmalet suffers with understeer, that dirty air. He might need to loosen the anti-roll bar or something, get some front wing angle, that in-car adjustment, get some more front end grip, front end bite onto this long Ullman straight, as Hutu has another huge look here in the final corner.
Yeah, this is the thing about Sunset Bend. As we always say, so many different lines and entries. It looks as though someone's gaining on corner entry, but they lose out on corner exit. It looks as though that's what De Jong's doing. He's sacrificing early to gain late into this one. From the rear of Mitchell De Jong, through turn number 1, through down towards turn 2 and 3, they will come once again. This is a fantastic battle we got going on. To give you an update down in the field, we have got ourselves Michael Dinkel, Marty Piatella separated by 0.4 of a second as it stands right now. And we've got ourselves still these 3 warriors fighting on track. They can't do anything, Rachel, in the 2 DRS zones because of the fact that they're both getting it. If this was mano a mano, maybe Tomato would have been able to do something by now. But really, De Jong is helping out Gregor Hutu. That's what we like to call unfortunate circumstances at times.
Yeah, this is a classic trolley train where it's slightly further towards the front of the field. Yeah, of course, with De Jong giving Hutu the DRS, it neutralises what Tamala gets, but yeah, this would already be over if it was just the 2 of them, but with 3 it makes it more exciting, of course. There's 2 spots at the podium on the line here, and potentially the race win. We know De Jong and Kroenke will likely have to pit fairly soon, we think, unless they're going to the end from here. And as it stands, you know, Hutu and Tamala, we know they're going to the end of this one. We know Tamala is the best on the oldest tyres. So I think he's biding his time, and we're seeing a potential champion in the making in that 51 car.
Yep, Johnny.
I think right now, you're looking at Graham Carroll in front, the lapped car. I think he's giving De Jong a little bit of DRS. We might need to look at that, because I think De Jong is getting helped here by the fact that the lapped car of Graham Carroll, which... Now, I love Graham to bits, okay, and it blows my mind in motor racing. I always rant about it, how lap cars just seem to get in the way of good battles here. Like, Hutu and Tomato can't do anything about it. They can't pass De Jong in a straight line. How can you get past him when he's got a lap car giving him DRS in front? Like, it's just impossible now on the straight. And I think there needs to be, like, some sort of... Like, aren't there any blue flags? I mean, De Jong's, like, hugging the lap car in front. Like, shouldn't he get out of the way or something? I mean, he's in P27.
But here's the thing, they're going faster. I mean, it's 1/10 of a second they're gaining over Graham Carroll. That's not the fact that Graham Carroll is slow. Graham Carroll is there on pace. He's doing 135.0s right now.
I know he needs to make his way through the field to get past Vincenzo Amico, but I mean, it's just... Like, I know we were joking about this the other day, Will. Me and you were speaking about the race coming up and how I thought, you know, if a car goes a lap down, they should be disqualified from the race. I was just joking about that. But in these situations, it's just where, like, I don't understand. What can Hutu and Tomalet do? Like, I'd be furious there in 3rd and 4th if I was those 2 Finns. And we know that Finns will never get furious unless you're unless it's really a big situation. But right now, I'd be seriously furious because there's nothing you can do. Someone's getting a benefit from someone else who's not part of the race, and you just can't make your way. But like De Jong, and De Jong's keeping his cool, which is good, but he's getting a lot of help here from a lap car. And it's not helping the fact, and I don't blame it's not Graham Carroll's fault, it's the rules. He should be blue flagged by now. Like, that's the problem. It's not Graham Carroll's fault, it's the rules.
Well, with here we can see Graham Carroll. He's running himself in that number 33 machine, and I'm not going to lie to you, he's not. There's clear daylight. There's about 8, 9, 10 car lengths between these drivers. And again, in my opinion, tough. Until those blue flags come out, Graham Carroll is entitled to run in this event. And of course, we have still got an event, and you know what? If you're really that faster, you'll find a way through. Yes, it's hurting the strategy for De Jong and for Hutu and for Tamara, but that is what motor racing is all about. And let's not forget, De Jong has had his share of bad luck in this event so far. Your top 8, bottom of your screen: Kroenke, De Jong, Hutu, Tamara, Pakala, Berryman, Friskops and Hapala as it stands right now in this event. Live timing and scoring is still available, ladies and gentlemen. Head over to racesport.tv/timing as we still got Alex Simpson versus Jeremy Bootaloo. They are scrapping it out right now. The gap between these two drivers is currently classified as 7/10 of a second.
Oh, well, sorry, Will, gonna have to stop you. We might have a move here from Tamala. He was very close to the back of Hutu coming off Monte Carlo. But not. Oh dear. That was disappointing. It looked like it was going to be a big move, but here we go for Hutu. Really pulling up at the back of De Jong. These guys are really starting to get racy now. They're behind Carroll.
Tamara gets a better run out of Sunset Bend, down towards turn number 1 once again. To go back then to Alex Simpson, Jeremy, naturally will stay with this one just for a second. Simpson and Bootaloo classified with 7/10 of a second between them. Simpson, however, has of course been one of your biggest movers in your top 10 so far. It seems to be this track is getting more and more congested. Martin Kroenke is coming into play for this one as well, as the gap is now 4 seconds between P1 and P number 2 as they work themselves through the hairpin once again. And then from De Jong to Hutu, 3/10 of a second, and this one is still mighty close between them. Hutu actually gets a much better run off the hairpin. That could have given him a run into Cunningham Corner, wasn't able to. So these guys are trading, and now it looks as though that Kroenke has just got himself enough of a gap so far that he might not actually have to come on towards pit road again. There are 2 cars now scrapping it out for position. You've got yourself a Radicals car, then you've got yourself Graham Carroll, and Miko is actually a lot slower than Graham Carroll. So when Carroll gets past him, he will be blue flagged pretty quickly because he is about 1.2 seconds off pace as it stands. But Kroenke, he might well be in a situation that he could well just about stay out and win this event because of the scrapping going on behind him, Johnny.
Yeah, and now the lap car's trading positions. That's Graham Carroll with a beautiful move past Vincenzo Amico. But as I said, it annoys me with the fact that they're right in front of this top battle here. They're going to have to get out of the way soon as Vincenzo looks up the inside. Now De Jong's closing in on Vincenzo Amico into those first few corners. The element of confusion here costs a little bit of time to Hutu and Tomala as well, but they make their way through clean. So getting out of the way there smartly by Vincenzo Amico. It's good to see him on the grid. He's made a race as well, so good to see Vincenzo Amico up there. But I have to say, I'm happy now. I'm happy because Graham Carroll's breaking away. But I think when he's within 1 second, as we have a car off the racetrack at the hairpin, he's gone straight off into the runoff area. I think if you're giving DRS to a car in front, there has to be blue flags. So I think Graham's just been a bit lucky, the fact that he hasn't had many blue flags. It's very confusing. He seems like he's breaking away in some laps, and he's on the same pace. What if Graham could keep this pace up and qualify well? He'd be right up there in the top 10. But anyway, nevertheless, let's see if Kroenke can still fight this out and win the race. The most unexpected winner in this race today out of the top 4 that I would have chosen.
Well, it's worth noting as well that we talked about Apex Racing, how they qualified badly here today. Graham Carroll actually has done himself some fantastic lap times in this event. I'm just having a look though. His fastest lap of the race is way down outside your top 20, but his average lap has been really, really good when you put it into that perspective. In towards Sunset Bend then, once again, for Graham Carroll, and of course in this event so far he has lost 8 positions from where he started as part of that rigmarole that happened at the start of this event. 4 cars right now in the shot of winning this, the 3rd round of the championship, less than 10 laps to go, and no sign of Martin Cronkite coming on towards pit road just yet. He came on pit road 17 laps ago, so if he was to come on towards pit road, he would do so now. One of the things I've always said about this series is that you have to be adaptable to situations. As it stands, Cronkite is faster than De Jong. He's faster than anyone else on track that last lap, although the lap time did come down. Here's one more thing that we need to think about here. We saw it at the first round of the championship, Rachel. Long straightaway tracks means occasionally people have to save fuel at the end of this event. But on board with Cronkite, he's just about to lap the driver of Eunice Nakuri, and there's a big wiggle for Martin Cronkite. Well, we talked about the fact he's going to stay out. Well, he's just lost himself 7 tenths of a second in 1 lap.
What a big loss of time there. That's a huge one for him. Mistakes time to be made here at the end, Will.
2.5 seconds is the gap right now between those 4 drivers as well. We have got ourselves a race in our hands. The last time we saw anything this big, it was Road America. It was a few years ago when no one knew what would happen in the last stage of this event. Here comes Gregor Hutu. This is as close as he's ever been, but again, De Jong is able to get the DRS. Down to the inside will go Gregor Hutu. Battle for P number 2. Gregor Hutu will force his way through. Hutu up into second. De Jong goes sideways there on the exit of Sunset Bend. That will allow Joni Tamala the chance to move up. And well, De Jong loses 2 positions in the space of 1 corner. Ladies and gentlemen, it's game on. Anyone now can win this race. 3 drivers looking for a podium position. Have a look at this one then from up above. You'll see the driver of Gregor Hutu force his way down to the inside. He gets himself alongside, and then you'll see as they come underneath the bridge, a wiggle from Mitchell de Jong, a second wiggle onto the grass. That allows Joni Tamala to go past. But Johnny, now the race begins, because we've got ourselves Hutu 2.3 seconds back with just a handful of laps to go.
As much as I love to criticize Hutu and his lack of aggression, that was beautiful right there. One of the best passes I've seen Gregor Hutu make, and it could be critical towards a race win here in the championship. Now, we know his teammate Olli Pakala leads the championship coming into the round. Hutu can walk away if he can win this race too, so he's got to fend off Joni Tomala here in these next few laps, which is the critical point. Does Tomala have the pace? Has he been conserving those tires to maybe get a run here on the Ullman Straight? He seems a bit too far behind this lap around, but I think Cronkite's lap times, who with that mistake set a 36.6 last time around, we'll have a look at this lap when they cross the line. It'll be about 6 to go. Look at Tomala's speed. He's got an incredible amount of speed on the straight. Hutu's got his work cut out for him here.
Yeah, and the thing is though, for Joni Tamala, if he wants to do this one, he'll have to do it in the next 3 laps or so, because last time by, it was a 135.1 for Martin Cronkite, a 134.7 for Gregor Hutu, a 134.5 for Joni Tamala. If Tamala wants to get this victory, he has to pass Gregor Hutu before they catch up to Martin Cronkite. But Cronkite is losing time every single corner of every single lap. 4 laps ago, we would have said it would have been better for Martin Cronkite to stay out on track, because really De Jong was allowing Cronkite to manage the gap. You can't say that one anymore, Rachel. As we come closer to 5 to go, Cronkite is in deep, deep trouble.
Yeah, he really is, Will. Of course, he pitted on lap number 19, which was 6 or 7 laps before Hutu and Tamala. So that's a big, big difference. Martin Cronkite is losing even more time now. It is time for Joni Tamala to make this pass complete as he lets Hutu get a little bit further away. We've got to see some more of this Inex speed on the straights here. He needs to get this done and go after him, put the pressure on, and they can make Cronkite make a mistake, because this is literally the defining moment of the race.
The magic number you want to see heading out of this corner is 3 tenths of a second. The gap is about 3 tenths of a second. There's nowhere for Hutu to hide. The DRS flat will be open for Joni Tamala. He will close right up to the rear. He's going to try and have a look. He's not quite close enough. He'll dive down to the inside. He needed another half a tenth.
He does.
Run on the exit of the corner, and that will be Joni Tamala getting himself then side by side of Hutu. Not just yet, but let's have a look. We're on board with Joni Tamala as he works himself into turn number 1. No, he doesn't. closest we've seen so far. A much better run on the exit of the corner, and Hutu, a little bit of a block there actually, in towards turn number 2. And well, business has just picked up, Johnny.
Yeah, smart defensive driving there by Gregor Hutu. So he's made that car as wide as the track itself. He's kept Joni Tomala behind, but here's Tomala having a look into that hairpin turn 7. Hutu defends again. Tomala deep under braking. Now Hutu braked on a little bit of an angle, but he still gave Tomala space. So that's all legal. You can do that. And wow, that's defensive driving to the max there. So all the kids watching, that's how you drive without being overly defensive and breaking the rules. These two mustn't forget that they do have to pass Martin Kroenke in front. They are battling for second and third, but if they work together, which they're not going to do, they could also pass Kroenke for the win. So this is one of the most intense finishes to a race that we've seen in the World Championship right now, and we're in a bit of a climax here. Hopefully not an anti-climax, and I think Tomala could have another great run here on the Allman Straight if he keeps it together.
Don't forget, Johnny, he has 3 lap newer tyres. Joni Tomala has the freshest tyres of all 3 of these guys. He has to use them.
He's going to get himself a good run. DRS is open, Johnny.
He's got DRS here on the run down to the final corner. Tucks into the slipstream, which he didn't do last lap around, and here he goes straight past Hutu.
Yep, so he'll move himself up to second, but a better run on the exit of the corner then from Gregor Hutu. When we look up above, side by side, Tomala will have the inside line in towards turn number 1, and he just cut across him there. Oh my word! Both those drivers are out of the event. Joni Tomala, Gregor Hutu crashing turn number 1. The race is Martin Kroenke's.
Oh my God!
Martin Kroenke. 4.6 seconds ahead of the field. Replay about to come up then. Let's have ourselves a second look at that one. And wow, that one we saw then. We just saw Joni Tomala tucking in front of Gregor Hutu. We're going to look at this one. On board Gregor Hutu then into Sunset Bend. You'll see Joni Tomala will just get himself the run out of the corner, and then Hutu side by side. You'll see Tomala will put himself ahead, and let's just then experience this one. Let's see what happens. Down in towards turn number 1, the 2 Finnish drivers will come together, and well, Tomala's race is done. Hutu has lost second place to the driver of Mitchell de Jong, so it's a Coanda 1-2 as it stands right now. Hutu and the driver of Joni Tomala coming together with 6 laps to go, Johnny.
Oh wow, oh my goodness gracious, you could not have pictured those 2 guys coming together at turn 1 and ending this race that way. They've handed a 1-2 finish to Coanda Simsport, and Gregor Hutu now has to manage his damage, his speed, because a lot of drivers get unsettled and they start to not finish the race. So Hutu needs to finish up with a podium here ahead of his teammate, but Joni Tomala now, who could have walked away with the championship lead, is going to walk away with 2 DNFs in 3 rounds, much the same like Alexei Usiakala. I think the first thing you need to think about now is forget about the rage, forget about the anger. If you're a proper mentor or a team manager, you tell your driver to concentrate on that next round, because this season, it's been so unpredictable. That drop week sometimes will make the difference, and you have to keep enduring and conquering.
We're working on board with Marty Piatella, running himself in P number 11. Michael Dinkel is just ahead of him. This is a scrap for the last part of your top 10. Last time by, Marty Piatella 134.9 and 135.1 for Dinkel as he crosses the stripe. These 2 drivers are pretty much now separated by half a second. This is the closest battle we've got going on inside your top 10, but we do have one outside of it. Martin van Loozenhoorn with Mo Garfilo and Yuta Saito. Saito seems to be up and down this field, more like a yo-yo today, as he currently runs himself in P number 16, Mo Garfilo in 15th, Martin van Loozenhoorn in 14th. So we've got a couple of scraps then. 4 laps to go in this event. Michael Dinkel versus Marty Piatella, scrapping it out 4 tenths of a second as they work themselves through this section of racetrack again. Just to give you an update as well, Robin Friskups and Ilka Harpana are separated by 1 second with 3.5 laps to go, Rachel.
Yeah, it's certainly spreading out here as we're still reeling from that massive drama we've just experienced, but yeah, there is still a massive race going on here. A lot of guys still fighting for positions, important ones as well. Some big movers as well, Will. Ilka Harpala from P26. Alex Simpson, he's P9. P30 on the grid, so big movement. A lot of racing going on here, but yeah, you often wonder what would happen if those guys actually qualified better than they have. Could they be in the fight at the front here? But yeah, it's certainly going to be exciting. We have 2 laps to go after this one. What a finish.
You just saw there 2 drivers gaining more than 15 places in this event so far. What the driver's been here today for that driver of Ilka Haapala, up 19 positions. Alex Simpson has been up more than 20 positions here today. They are your 2 biggest movers in the race, and a fantastic job there by both of them. As we see behind, Marty Piatella also up 12 positions, looking very, very close now to the rear of that Vortex Sim Racing driver of Michael Dinkel. Away from all of this, actually, Johnny, let's give a shout out to Vortex Sim Racing because they are new to this series. Right now, they're holding off Coanda Supersports.
Yeah, and with Michael Dinkel, there's some great race pace. He's still trying to fend off Coanda's Marti Piatella. And remember, last year, Marti was a very, very strong driver, very, very consistent too. So Dinkel's got his work cut out for him. And I give him credit, though. I give credit to Michael Dinkel because he actually qualified well this round. And this is the result you get, a top 10 finish worthy of your talent. And Vortex have a lot of different talent coming through the field. I think this is a good base point for them this season, and to have their team leader, team captain there of Michael Dinkel sort of get these inspiring results, it could lead more people into the team, much like we've seen with Orion Racing's resurgence after they lost Mitchell de Jong.
Martin van Loosenard with Mogarfilo, Yuta Saito. Those 3 drivers still separated by 1 second between them overall. And this is a nice little scrap going on by guys that we know are going to be in and around this position all season long. But let's go a little bit further up in your field. Let's go and have a look at the driver of Martin Conke in that number 5 Coanda Sim Sports machine. He has done 50 laps of this event so far. He has got himself about a lap and a half to go. As well, we haven't talked much about Martin Conke for some period now, but he looks as though that he is now a lap and a half away from not only winning this event, but enabling a Coanda 1-2. And at some stages of this race, we thought it was never going to be that situation. We thought that Yoni Tamada, Gregor Hutu, whoever won that battle, could well have ended up winning this event. But Martin Kroenke did something very, very important. What he did is he stayed out and he allowed strategy to come to him rather than going to chase the strategy. Now, Jonas de Current's actually going to put himself down to the inside of that Coanda Sim Sports driver of Martin Kroenke, and that is the difference in tyres. De Current having himself a good race. He's running himself in P number 22. He's just unlapped himself, actually, so he is now scored on the lead lap of this event once again. But the white flag is out. There's 1 more lap to go here at Sebring. Update on any change of positions. Well, Robin Friscop's Ilka Haapala, 1.1 seconds now. Advantage, Robin Friscops. Down in your pack for the final part of this event. Martin van Loosenhoor with Mogarfilo, Yuta Saito. You've got 2 Radicals guys hunting down an Apex Racing UK guy. They've got themselves a lap and a half to sort this one out. And it is a gap of 8 tenths of a second separating the 3 of them. We're actually very quickly going to go on board of Yuta Saito out of Le Mans corner. Saito gets himself sideways on the exit of the corner as these old tyres really testing these drivers now in the latter stages of this event. There you can see 3rd in line is Martin Kroenke for Coanda Sim Sports. Of course, he has won many times before in the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series, but he is now just half a lap away from winning his first round of the championship as he now heads himself into Tower Corner. Turn number 14 for the final time. He comes down into 15 and 16 for the final time. And from here on in, all he needs to do is get himself on the noisy pedal. Gregor Hutu is nowhere near close enough to really pull it in the last stages of this event. It will be a Coanda 1-2 here today. Martin Kroenke will win out from Mitchell de Jong 2nd place, Gregor Hutu in 3rd, and well behind Rachel, still more battling going on.
Well, it was nearly not behind Will, of course. We had Nakarainen there and Meglik fight end the lead lap in front of Kroenke, and a near spin from both of them coming off Le Mans. That could have ended his race. That was huge. But Kroenke, he does take the win home today. Mitchell de Jong in 2nd, and Gregor Hutu comes back from that controversial moment in turn 1 to take the last step of the podium. But oh, we had a near moment there at the end of the final lap.
Indeed so. We'll get ourselves a replay of that final lap in a moment to give you an update then on Luzanord, Philo and Saito as well. These are those three then. There may well be a dive in towards Sunset Bend. Luzanord versus Philo versus Saito. 1.1 seconds. They head themselves down towards the final corner. For the final time, Luzanord then will end up getting himself P number 12. So 13, Philo 14, Saito 15th. No changes between them. Here are your race winners. Martin Kroenke winning out then in a crazy, wild finish here in round number 3 of the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series from Sebring International Raceway. Mitchell de Jong, despite the odds, will come home in 2nd place. And who well would have thought halfway through this one that Coanda would end up getting themselves a 1-2 finish. Here's the guy who won last year, and here's the guy who wins his first race of 2016. That, of course, is Martin Kroenke. Let's run yourself through then your final race results here from round number 3 of the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series. Martin Kroenke wins out by 2.5 seconds over Mitchell de Jong. Gregor Hutu in 3rd. Olli Pakala in 4th. Peter Berryman in 5th. Robin Friskops in 6th. Ilka Harpala in 7th. Jeremy Bootsloot in 8th. Alex Simpson in 9th. And Michael Dinkel rounds out your top 10. Behind Marty Piatella, Dion Vergis in 12th. David Corps, Martin Van Luzanord, Morgan Philo round out your top 15. The rest of the results are coming up on your screen. What a race we have had here at Sebring. What a fantastic bit of racing. Controversy involved in 2 stages of this race as well. Mitchell de Jong involved in an incident with Robin Friskops. And let's not forget what happened between those 2 drivers of Joni Tamada and Gregor Hutu in towards turn number 1 with less than 10 laps to go. It's been a wild one. It's been a crazy one. We'll come back with post-race coverage after these messages. You're watching Racebot TV here on iRacing Live. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to post-race coverage of this, the 3rd round of the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series here from Sebring International Raceway. It was a race that looked a little bit like round number 1 of the championship at one point. Qualifications made it an all-Coanda front row of the grid. The lights went out, de Jong able to get himself past Kroenke in the early going. We thought maybe de Jong could have this one in the bag. But then, issues with de Jong. He ends up involved in an incident there with one of the Inex Racing drivers of Robin Friskops. That cost him about 10 seconds. Martin Kroenke had himself an issue of his own. An unforced error into turn 15-16. That cost him 4 seconds. Then, we ended up having a titanic battle between Joni Tamada and Gregor Hutu. It ended up the way no one wanted to see, with them crashing at turn number 1. Hutu could carry on. The same couldn't be applied to Yoni Tamala, and as a consequence, you end up with this as your podium. Martin Kroenke winning, and you got Mitchell de Jong in second place. The two Commander drivers winning out once again here in the World Championship Series, and your podium ends with Gregor Hutu. But there are so many more storylines than that here today. You had yourselves Ilkka Hapala able to move himself up almost 20 positions in today's race. Alex Simpson was able to go more than 20 positions in this event. And the questions will be, INX Racing, Apex Racing, Orion Racing sometimes qualify poorly, but their race pace is fantastic. What would happen if they end up qualifying inside the top 10? Could they well go for victory? There's also some frustration, some anger. We had 3 different incidents in the first couple of laps of this event that put some drivers out of contention earlier. We talked about Yuta Saito. He's been up and down this field of changes to his wings, involved in a spin on lap number 1. So many things have happened. We're going to break it down for you over the next 15-20 minutes or so here on RaceSpot TV, streaming live on iRacing Live. Welcome to post-race coverage, and welcome to your race winner, Martin Kroenke, who is stood by with Johnny Simone.
Martin Kroenke, who ended up winning this race. First of all, the big question to you, Martin, is, or 2 big questions in one. Are you happy with that win? You have to certainly be pleased. And do you think it was handed to you in a way, or do you think your strategy would have won you the race regardless of any incident behind?
Well, it's tough to answer. Of course, results-wise, I'm happy. Who wouldn't be with a win? The way I scored it, not too much. I mean, most likely Mitchell would have won it if it wasn't for an incident right in front of me, which unfortunately took place and sort of handed me the win. Also, strategy-wise, I'm not too sure whether that was the right call. We sort of went to the pits much earlier than anybody else, which was sort of planned. We speculated on a 2-stopper being faster, and also, even if it isn't, maybe we can lure someone into the pits that way as well. That didn't work out, and in the end it showed the tires were absolutely gone. But yeah, I don't know. The others didn't seem to catch up too quickly towards the end, at least until the point where another incident happened. And after that, I just took out pace to play it safe. No reason to push anymore.
You talk about ERS management as well and all that kinds of issues. It seems that this round you guys finally figured all that stuff out. Did that make the biggest difference? Or was there any other differences in setup you thought, or maybe just driving style that you adjusted this round for the team that helped so much for both yourself and Mitchell?
ERS-wise, we did a change already in the last race in Phillip Island. But we sort of butchered it up with another setup change that wasn't great at all. That made the car quite bad and cost us a good bit of pace in the race. For this race, I think we had most of it figured out. Setup was not too pleasant to drive. It was kind of bouncy, but pace-wise it seemed to be sort of up there. And the ERS management was also reasonable this time around, so yeah.
Nice. And your thank yous and all the stuff. You're the winner of this race. You should be pleased, and I'm sure you're delighted for maybe a win in Road America.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah. Save. That's Martin Kroenke there, winning the race.
Can I say thank you to a couple of people?
Yes, you may. You may say thank you.
Excellent. First of all, I want to thank my teammates for doing most of the setup work this time around. I haven't really had too much time to prepare a whole lot because of university constraints and whatnot. So huge thank you to those guys. And then also I want to say thank you to all our partners. First of all, virtualracingschool.com for supporting us for the year. Also to EC Sim Hardware, to Andrew Design for the beautiful liveries we have got, to RaceSpot, and yeah.
There you go, Will. Martin Kroenke with the win, and a well-deserved win. He finally got that one in 2016, but will this be the one of many, or will Gregor maybe fight his way through the top? What about Yoni Tamala and teammate Mitchell de Jong? Those guys really fighting their way up through the field. Don't forget Ollie Pakula too.
Indeed so, and Martin Kroenke, of course, he did win this one after having himself an unforced error down at turn number 15-16, which cost him a couple of seconds, which made it interesting. Afterwards, of course, he was behind Mitchell de Jong until de Jong ended up having his own issue along the racetrack as well. We are going to get a chance, hopefully, to have a chat with Mitchell de Jong. Indeed, so Rachel Whiteford is stood by the guy who came home in second place.
Thank you very much, Will. Of course, Mitchell, you started in second. You finished in second, but that wasn't quite the story of your race. You had some moments earlier on, some outbreaking yourself, but to come back with second step of the podium, was it perhaps more than you expected after the race had gone as long as it did?
I would say so for sure. You know, it was quite a difficult race. You know, we expected a two-stop to definitely work, and once I pit early and saw no one else was, it was like, oh no, we did something wrong. So, you know, it was just a matter of trying to do damage control after that, try to go extremely long on that second stint with tires going away really quickly here. I got hit entering the hairpin one lap, and it was a very, very crazy race.
Well, it certainly was, but you guys, obviously, we talked to Martin a moment ago. Coanda has improved its understanding of this McLaren MP4-30. You have a better understanding of how to set the car up. As Martin was saying, it's a bit bouncier here than you'd like, but it is Sebring. It's a very bumpy track. Did you feel more prepared coming into this year in a new car, considering you'd won last year?
I would say for me, I feel like I am driving a lot better and a bit more consistent than I was even previous years. I feel constantly that, you know, you can always learn something new, and just every race continuing to learn more and more. I think for this race, we're a little less prepared than we would like to. None of us had a huge amount of time to really dial in everything. But I think with that said, you know, we did good and had a good result, and every race can be better, and we just got to keep pushing.
Well, congratulations on the P2, Mitchell. Back to you, Will.
Mitchell de Jong coming home in second place here today, making it a Koala Sim Sports all top two of the podium there. P1, P2 for the first time this season, and for Koala Sim Sport, of course, that is what we like to call a retaliation after Team Redline went P1, 2, 3, 4 at Phillip Island 2 weeks ago. The guy who came home third in this event, Gregor Hutu, stood by with Johnny Simone.
I guess a big question we have to ask you here, Gregor, is the incident with Joni Tomola there into turn one. From your perspective, it seemed that you maybe were caught a bit unaware with he was slowing down a little bit earlier than what you might have thought, but definitely not the result, obviously, what you would want to have an incident and maybe facing a bit of controversy from the stewards now.
Yeah, it's a shame because it was turning out to be a great end to the race. So yeah, I was just I got unsighted when he pulled out in front of me. So, but yeah, I don't know if he slowed down a bit earlier than usual, but I guess not. So I guess it's my fault. So yeah, sorry to him.
Regardless of the incident, you have to be not 100% happy, but you have to be pleased that you at least salvaged some good points from this race, and that could really propel you into that championship lead, most likely. Maybe depending on where Ollie gets points from his fourth position.
Yeah, the result is pretty good for this track. I think we were struggling with pace as a team, so P3 is a good result, but not the way I wanted to get it. So yeah, especially as I said, it was turning out to be a good end to the race, and we were kind of catching Martin. But yeah, most of all, we were just lacking some pace. At the end of the stints, I think we were a bit faster than the Coanda cars. So yeah, we'll see how it goes in the next one. I think we have to find a bit more out of the car.
Well, last year, Road America for round 4 was your first win of the season personally. Do you think that you might be able to do the same next round over at Road America? Maybe you can rectify those issues and fix those issues on the car that you feel may have been costing you a bit of pace this round at Sebring.
Yeah, if we can find something with the car, I think it's a good track for me. So definitely should be able to fight for the win. But yeah, it all depends on the amount of practice we can do. So hopefully we will find something and have a good race and a better finish as well.
There you go, Will. Gregor Hutu, who finally got a great result after his great win last round at Phillip Island, but his not so good result at Interlagos. You get some good points here today at Sebring.
Indeed so. Gregor Hutu rounds out your podium. We'll work you through your championship standings after this event in a couple of moments' time. First of all, though, of course, we have to have a chat with the guy who came home behind him. That was Olli Pakala, of course. He came home in P4 for Team Redline. He moved himself up one spot in this race overall. Goodbye with Rachel Whiteford.
Yeah, thank you, Will. Olli Pakala, you started in P5 today. P4, not a great race. Pretty quiet for you, in fact. You didn't spend much time on air, but sometimes that's a good thing, maybe?
Yeah, I've had a flu and quite tough time in the work, so didn't prepare myself that much. So P4 is okay result comparing to that. But yeah, bad start, and after that it was like hanging out and drive myself to the finish lines.
Well, certainly more, should we say, taciturn interview than normal, Ollie, but obviously not being so well, we can understand that. P4 is great points, considering you hadn't done as much preparation as you'd like. How are you guys looking towards the next round?
Yeah, I don't know, we need to prepare ourselves better. I think we are lacking, like Gregor said, we are lacking a bit of pace, so more work and less flu.
Less flu could certainly be the key. Looks like Olli Pakala will be making pit stops for cough medicine, not tyres next round.
Indeed so. Olli Pakala coming home in P number 4 after this race had been scored complete. And actually, one of the guys that we've been keeping a real big eye on here today, he moved himself into P number 5. It's Peter Berryman. He set the world alight in the Pro Series of road racing. He's doing so again now on the big stage. At one point, he was down at the rear of your top 10. He moved himself up into P5, up 7 places overall. Johnny Simone, take it away.
Peter, you must be delighted after all the hard work through the Pro Series, demotivation maybe with a couple of mistakes, but I guess in the end, the person who trusts in yourself the most is yourself and your own soul. So this result here, it mustn't have come as a surprise to you. You must have believed you had this pace all along.
Well, I mean, the first 2 rounds, I think Lafan let me down. I think my Q pace was pretty bad and kind of affected my results a little, so a bit better if a Q result today kind of helped me get a better race result. I think I was a bit lucky with a few crashes here and there, but yeah, pretty pleased. Yeah, a lot better than the last 2 weeks for sure.
In terms of next round at Road America now, the team seems that half the drivers had a lot of bad luck today, half had some good luck, especially yourself and Alex with a top 10 finish. You think that Road America could be a good track for Apex Racing UK? The type of style there, you've got some a long straight, medium speed corners, bit of undulation too. It's quite similar to Sebring in a way, just without the bumps, so I guess you might have a similar approach to that sort of racetrack.
Yeah, I mean, I think when the car first came out, it was sort of Road America, I think, maybe. One of the first or second tracks there, and I know that Alex and Seb were pretty quick when we did some testing there. Obviously a lot's changed since now and then, but yeah, I'm sure we'll be fine.
And finally, in terms of the championship now, you think that this could be a bit of a motivator for you to keep on practicing, keep on entering each round with a little bit of a chip on your shoulder saying, hey, I was the fastest in that Pro Series, not my teammate Graham Carroll. Do you think that that's sort of a bit of a motivator for you, this 5th place? I mean, do you think you could achieve more despite of any of the incidents that occur?
I think I'm just going to take it race by race. I think the Pro Series, I was maybe kind of got too excited and a bit too aggressive. I was sort of taking my time and kind of cost me, so it did. And I lost motivation, didn't really want to drive just because race kept going. Race after race was just bad. So yeah, I think I'll just try and keep my nose clean, take it race by race, and See how it goes.
There you go, Will. Peter Berryman with a scintillating top 5 finish. Well deserved for him as well. So in that number 69 car, he's putting all his effort into the World Championship, and it's paying off for him, which is good to see.
Indeed. So very quickly before we go off air, we're going to have a chat with our social media expert, Mr. Nick Rowland. Of course, the biggest talking point of the race so far today has been the incident with Mitchell de Jong, and also the incident, of course, with Yoni Tsunoda and Gregor Hutu. But overall, from your perspective, how's the race been?
It was incredible to watch, even just doing being on social media and be able to watch the race almost from afar, but listen to you guys live. It was unbelievable race, and the battle between Tomala and Hutu. I was even when coverage was switching to other cars. I mean, Tomala was so all over the back of Hutu for so many laps. It was incredible just the consistency that he had. And you could see that if he had got by, I really genuinely think he would have pulled away at quite a rate of knots as well. It was unfortunate, obviously, what happened between them, but just what a day for Coanda. I mean, they must be just bouncing off the walls at the moment.
Indeed so. So, this is how the season's been so far. iRacing winning a race. A top 4 for Team Redline. 4 drivers taking up the top 4 positions of the race. And then, of course, here today, it's been a Coanda 1-2. Who knows what will happen in 2 weeks' time here on the wonderful storyline we like to call you, the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series. Well, once again, fantastic racing here. Yes, there's been controversy from lap number 1 all the way down to the end of the event. But overall, what a race we have had. Coanda Sim Sports, welcome back to iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series victory lane. Congratulations to Gregor Hutu. Commiserations, of course, to Mitchell de Jong, to Gregor Hutu, to Yoni Tsunoda, and all of those drivers that thought they had a shot of taking victory here today. Plenty more action coming your way on RaceSpot TV this weekend. It is Endurance Racing Weekend, the Gathering of Tweakers Endurance Series. The Neo Endurance Series will be live over the next 48 hours. Then we round off your weekend with Sunday Night Skippies, the iAdvance IndyCar Elite Series, and also we conclude it with Monday Night Skippies on Monday night. This, ladies and gentlemen, has been a presentation of RaceSpot TV, streaming live on iRacing Live, a part of WCS on RaceSpot from Sebring International Raceway. From Johnny Simone, Rachel Whiteford, and Nick Rowland, I've been Will Vincent. We'll talk to you all next time. Good night.
Round number 3 of the 2016 NASCAR PK Series underway. Green flag waves from Phoenix International Raceway. Your pole sitter BJ Sturgis hard down to turn number 1 for the first time. He'll set the pace coming off the quarter of the Lastro Motorsports Ford. It goes out in front to Taylor Hurst P2, Patrick Crabtree third, and a B4 for Casey Tucker. Single file inside the top 5.
PJ Sturgis is absolutely checked out. He has managed almost a second gap, Evan, in just 20 laps here.
PJ Sturgis ran his best lap at lap number 2. It was a 27-1. Right now, he's running 29.0. So you're looking at about a 2-second tire fall off over the course of a 40-lap run so far. So when those guys come in pit, they're going to get back out on track for a couple laps. They'll be about 1.5-2 seconds faster than the guys that stay out. Of course, when your leaders come down to the pit lane, the advantage will swing in their favor, but that's why the short pit is always a popular call for a couple of guys just shy of the top 10, maybe just shy of the top 15.
If you're pitting every 40 laps, it's going to take 3 stops to get lap 156. 41 car going to peel off and come down pit road, this time by Jake Sturgis from position number 6. If you can stretch it somehow to 60 laps, it's only 2 stops, so we might be seeing 2 different strategies here. I don't know if anybody's going to go to that 80-85 that they can on the fuel, but I'm sure somebody is going to at least try it.
I'll tell you what, the 57 of PJ Sturgis, if he wants to hit the marker, 156 laps, start to finish tonight, he'll have to go 52 laps on every single run. He's on lap number 51, and he continues to lead the way to Kenny Humpy and Casey Tucker.
Oh, there's a lot of unsettling times, 27, 36, and 10. They're battling for a spot, but they're battling around the cars that came down pit road. We're 3 wide down the front straightaway.
The 55 to the outside, the 3 to the bottom on the 27 bias. He doesn't stay there with it. That's a lap machine. The 22 topside. And around the outside of the racetrack goes Brian Blackford as Kenny Humpy up front. No pit stops yet, presumably 1 pit stop to go. He is 6 laps away from the halfway point, 6 laps away from what would be his number if he wants to make it on a 1-stop strategy.
The 58 of Kenny Humpy about to get back on the lead lap, trying to work his way around the 57 of Sturgis on that inside line through 3 and 4. And I don't think the NX number 57 going to make it overly easy for the Peak Antifreeze number 58 to go by. There goes Humpy. He's got the outside line, and the 58 will pick up the lead lap now. He is currently tail end of the lead lap in position number 18.
3-1 to 57. He's done with service tonight. It's go time. Inside on the 46, inside on the 55. He's got to go. Can Sturgis navigate that traffic and make up that time gap in under 50 laps? Chris Overland, 42nd to second, as you mentioned. That's 39 cars he passed to gain 40 spots. And in Ray Alfala, 22nd to third, all under green flag conditions.
Casey Tucker on the outside. What a beautiful run through 1 and 2 for Kenny Humpy. Humpy is going to try to take this position down the back straightaway. Battle for position number 4, heating up in the final 5 laps of this race. Last lap coming up for PJ Sturgis, and looking for a huge NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series victory here. And he's looking clean and green. Battle heating up for second. Alfala going to try to take it from Overland, but Evan, he needs a little bit of a shot here.
Final time off of turn number 4, PJ Sturgis from pole to checker, winner for race number 3 on the 2016 season. Battle for P2 behind, going to go to Chris Overland in front of Ray Alfala on the podium. Somehow, Kenny Humpy ends up with the number 4 spot, and Casey Tucker round out your top 5 finishers